Hi collective! Welcome back to my channel. I am the Nosy Witch and this is my channel, Nosy Witch Tarot. If you haven't been here before, I do collective pick-a-card readings here on YouTube. Just a little heads up before we get into it. My readings do tend to be fairly long, they're very much deep dives. That being said, I am working on doing some shorter, more easily bingeable readings for those of you who prefer that. However, I love to waffle, I love to go on tangents, I love to give lots of examples, so realistically my readings are probably never going to be that short, and that's just something we are all going to have to make peace with together. Now before we get into the reading, I just want to take a moment to shout out one of my friends and fellow readers, Ancestral Aura Tarot. She is an up-and-coming, incredibly talented reader, and honestly, her readings have always been so accurate for me. She deserves way more followers than she has right now, and she's also one of the kindest and sweetest souls. She was actually one of my subscribers first, and seeing her be inspired to start her own channel genuinely just brings me so much joy. I'm so excited for her, and I just love watching someone who's been really supportive of me in the past just spread their wings and take that leap, because, you know, I know firsthand how much bravery it takes to start a channel and push past that fear of being seen, and she's doing it with so much grace. And you know, I'm just really glad she has her own platform to spread joy and to help people. So if you're interested in checking out another gifted reader and getting some super accurate readings, I'll leave her channel linked in the pinned comment below. Please go show her some love if you feel called to. You won't regret it. With that said, today's reading is titled, Why People Get So Obsessed with Your Energy, What Makes Your Vibe Intoxicating and Addictive. So in this reading today, we're going to be spilling a little bit of tea. We're going to be looking at why people get obsessed with you. What is it about your energy that has people acting like you're their new addiction? What about your vibe gets people hooked and wanting to know more? And why people seem to get so fixated on you when they meet you. So this reading is very much like part gossip, part hype you up. Now also, when I say obsessed, this can show up in more desirable ways or less desirable ways. I genuinely don't know what's going to come through yet, but I will always be honest about what I'm seeing because you guys deserve that, at the very least, me being honest. And when I say desirable versus less desirable, I want to be clear, I don't want to frame this as like good or bad, because obsessive energy is a spectrum, just like everything else in the world. And there's a difference between like mutual playful obsession, like you and your crush being utterly infatuated with each other and texting all day every day because you just can't get enough of each other's energy, versus someone being obsessed in a way that's more like hate watching or unrequited or just low-key very strange and weird. You know what I mean? Like, some obsessive energy is fun, some is significantly less so. And I'm giving this disclaimer because I take your mental health seriously, and it's never my intention to make anyone feel paranoid if that lower vibrational side of obsession is coming through. I'm probably going to discuss the spectrum here, so good things, bad things, neutral things. But this reading is not to scare anyone, and it's certainly not here to predict people becoming obsessed with you if that's not something you want. And so if you're listening to this intro and you're thinking like, honestly, people tend to mind their business when it comes to me, I don't really experience any kind of obsessive energy, then I'm not disputing that at all. That might simply mean this reading isn't for you today, and that's completely okay. This reading is really more for people who are like, yeah, do you know what? Like, people tend to get obsessed with me pretty quickly, and I'm not sure why. Whether you see that as a good thing or a bad thing. If you've noticed that people tend to get hooked on your energy fast and you can't fully understand why that happens or why that keeps happening, that is just what we are exploring and unpacking here. And in those situations, I do think it's important to validate your lived experience and hopefully offer some clarity. You already know what you know. Like, I'm just here to unpack the why around it. And again, this isn't about predicting things that will happen. It's more about gently unpacking patterns that may have already happened if that resonates. And if it doesn't, or if hearing about this feels more harmful to you than it is helpful, please look after yourself and feel free to skip this reading. You know, always prioritize your well-being. These readings are intended to provide clarity around what your intuition already knows, not to place worry on you about other people's thoughts. And that brings me to another very, very important disclaimer. Other people's thoughts are not always the reality of a situation. Just because someone has a certain idea of you doesn't make it true. You are the one who gets to define your reality. So just a heads up, when I talk about other people's perspectives, it's not what I think, and it doesn't have to be the truth. I am just the messenger here. You don't have to agree with it, and you don't have to disagree with it either, because this is not me making a commentary on you. I'm simply delivering the messages as I receive them. So just remember, if someone thinks something about you, that doesn't make it automatically true, and you don't have to accept it as part of your story if it simply isn't. As always, take what resonates and leave the rest for somebody else. These are collective readings, so not every single detail will land. I use lots and lots of tangible examples to explain energy, but those examples aren't intended to box you in. They are placeholders so you can apply things to your own situation. Finally, this is a free tarot reading on the internet. It truly does not need to be taken too seriously, and I'm not holding you hostage here. If it's not landing or you're not feeling it, that's absolutely fine. You are always welcome to share in the comments. You can never overshare too much with me as long as it's respectful. What I won't tolerate is disrespect or weirdness towards me or anyone in this community. Hostile or aggressive comments will be banished, rebuked, and returned straight back to sender. I just want to say thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. I genuinely appreciate it so very much. I love connecting with you and hearing what resonated. Some of your comments have honestly restored my faith in humanity, so thank you for taking the time out to leave those. It never ever goes unnoticed. And if you are called to, feel free to like, comment, share, hype, and subscribe. That is the best way to support a tiny channel like mine, and it lets me know you wouldn't mind seeing more of this content. And on a personal note, I really do just love chatting with you guys and hearing about the things that resonated, even the tiny little details. Today, we'll be using a mix of tarot cards and oracle cards. This reading is timeless, so whenever you find it is the right time. You are also welcome to choose more than one pile if more than one is calling to you. We have 5 piles to choose from today. So over here we have pile 1 with the Modern Witch Tarot and the Ice Skates sticker. Here we have pile 2 with the Real Talk Tarot and the Balloons sticker. Here we have pile 3 with the Cosy Witch Tarot and the Star sticker. Here we have pile 4 with the Weird Cat Tarot and the Cloud sticker. And here we have pile 5 with the Britt's Third Eye Tarot and the Car sticker. Once you've chosen your pile or piles, please head to the pinned comment or description box below. The timestamps will be listed there and they will take you straight to the start of your chosen reading. With that said, thank you again for being here. I truly hope you love this reading as much as I loved making it, and I'll see you at your chosen pile collective. Hi Pile 1 Collective! If you chose the Modern Witch Tarot and the Ice Skate sticker and you chose Pile 1, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled, Why People Get So Obsessed with Your Energy. What makes your vibe intoxicating and addictive? If you'd like the full details of what this reading will entail, I would really recommend checking out the introduction. I do go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I would recommend checking at least one of those out so you know what to expect from this reading today. But just a little recap, this reading is all about why people tend to get obsessed with you. So if you've ever noticed that people seem to fixate on you or your energy and you've never really understood why, that's exactly what we're exploring here today. With that said, and without any further hesitation, let's get right on into it. So I'm just going to move your little sticker to one side for now so we can focus on the cards in front of us. Obviously, we're using a mix of oracle cards and tarot cards, as always. Okay, so starting over here from the Archetypes Oracle, we have Rebel. Okay, very interesting energy to begin with. Light attributes. Challenges authority to affect social change. Rejects spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. Okay, Pile 1, I can tell you're going to be a problem. Shadow attributes. Rejects legitimate authority out of anger. Rebels out of peer pressure or fashion. And from the Wild Muse Oracle, we have got the Day You Plant the Seed. From the Deep Dive Oracle, we have got Gleaming Edge. Taking a step back can offer brilliant insights into your current situation, new perspective. And from the Pearls of Wisdom Oracle, we have got Surrender. Trust that your prayers and intentions have been received and are being guided towards their highest purpose. And from the Audacity deck, we have got the Devil. Okay, interesting. And let's have a look at your tarot cards to clarify this energy. So we have got the Three of Wands, and clarifying the Three of Wands, we have the Six of Cups. No. And we have got the Sun. Beautiful. And clarifying the Sun, we have got the Eight of Pentacles. And we have got the Ace of Wands. And clarifying the Ace of Wands, we have Justice. Okay, cool. Okay, Pile 1. So the main reason people get obsessed with your energy is because you have this very rebellious vibe about you. You definitely don't come across as somebody who tries to conform to the system. I'll put it that way. You're not somebody who is showing up and saying, you know, let me be palatable to you. Let me blend in. Let me shrink so everyone feels comfortable. No, it's none of that. You show up and you're like, I am who I am. and you're just going to deal with it. And people find that intoxicating, is what I want to say. It's like people feel that you're not afraid to go up against things, whether that's authority, social norms, expectations, pressure, whatever it is. You're not afraid to go up against that, even if sometimes it feels like you are standing alone or you are like the black sheep or something like that. And obviously, you know, this is going to manifest in different ways in the tangible world because we're all living different lives, right? But I'm getting a ton of different examples of how this might show up in your vibe, pal one. But the main message is, like, people get obsessed with your energy because you are not afraid to be yourself and go against the grain. There's something about you as well that makes people want to... I don't know how else to put this. I'm getting they want to follow you into chaos and maybe get into a little bit of trouble. That's something that I'm hearing, and I'm actually getting a specific lyric right now. I think it's from an Abra song. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce her name, but she's a singer, and I can't remember what the song's called, but there's a lyric. Oh, I think it's Pull Up. But there's a lyric that's like, get into trouble with me, love, or something like that. And that feels very much like your energy. That's the vibe I'm getting here. And you very much come across as somebody who is like, just totally not afraid to pave your own way, be in your own lane, do your own thing. And yeah, not bow down to societal conventions just because, you know, that's what people do, that's what's expected. No, like, that's not you. And for some of you, this won't be for everyone, but I'm getting this random specific message that when you were a teenager or even when you were a child, I can kind of imagine you causing a little bit of chaos. I'm getting a slightly bratty energy here, like not for everyone, but for some of you, it's as though if you didn't agree with something, like a certain rule, if you didn't want to do something, you would say no, and you would say it with your chest. Like, you weren't afraid to go against what other people were doing. And the reason I mention like being a child and a teenager is because those feel like phases where we have like certain authority figures guiding us, I guess, more than ever. And sometimes it's like you could maybe give those authority figures, if you didn't agree with something, if you didn't think something was fair, you might have given those authority figures a hard time. But yeah, I'm also getting you don't give in to peer pressure. Like, if you're in a group and everyone is saying, you know, let's do this, you won't be afraid to say no, or, you know, let's do the opposite, or I don't agree with that. You are not scared to be that one voice of like opposition. You're not afraid to go against the crowd. And I'm getting this other really random specific message. I think it's because of this justice card, but I can imagine like if you were on jury service or something, pal one, I can imagine the whole jury deciding like, yeah, so we're agreed then, like we think this person is guilty. And you would be that one person who's like, well, I don't think they are, or I don't think the evidence adds up. Like, that's what I mean. You're not afraid to stand alone. And people get obsessed with you because that is just such like standout leader energy, and you don't care if it makes you the black sheep, you don't care if it gets you ostracized, you're still brave enough to do it. And I'm thinking of this particular quote, I can't remember what it is exactly, but it's something like, they tried to feed me to the wolves, but I came back leading the pack, or something like that. It's a little bit cringe, but that is your energy. And I'm hearing the phrase devil's advocate as well. Like, you're not afraid to go there, you know? Now, with that bratty message, if you were bratty as a kid or teen, that doesn't have to apply for everyone, but if you recognize some element of yourself in that, it doesn't have to mean that you were like some crazy edgelord or rebelling for the sake of rebelling. Although some of you could have had phases like that. I think many of us did, you know. But maybe it's something like your parents have told you since you were really little that you used to throw these insane tantrums if you didn't want to do something, to the point where it became these funny family anecdotes. Like, your family said, oh my god, Power One, we could not get you to do XYZ no matter how hard we tried. Like, you very much have your own mind. It's that kind of vibe. It doesn't even have to be tantrum throwing necessarily, but for a lot of you, it could be like, if you didn't agree with something on principle, you wouldn't do it on principle. Not because you just wanted to be edgy, you know, but because you have a strong sense of justice and having your own moral compass. And if something just didn't add up to you, you weren't going to go along and do it just to fit in. So it's like some of you weren't intentional troublemakers, but people could have perceived you as that because you refused to bow down to authority. That's what I'm getting. But for some of you, you know, this rebellion is kind of mischievous, like slightly troublemaking, but in a chaotic and kind of funny way. And for others, it's rebellion in a very like, F the system, I'm going to take it down because the system is messed up, that kind of way. Like, you're trying to advocate for a good cause and you're trying to do what's right. But I'm also getting this thing where you don't back down to threats because the threats aren't threats to you. Like, you're not scared of them. That's something I'm getting. And I'm thinking of this example of school. Like, if a teacher said, you know, oh, if you do that, you're going to get detention, or whatever a teacher might say, your peers might back down. That's enough to sort of put them in their place, but it's not enough to like keep you boxed in and put you in your place. You are such a live wire that those threats just don't even they don't even stop you. They don't do anything. And I can just imagine you guys in that scenario being like, okay, so give me detention then. Like, you could have been hard work for your teachers to deal with, because they're kind of like, what works to make other students back down just does not work with Pal 1. And I'm actually being called to share a personal example here. And it's not because I was super rebellious back in school, because I don't think I was. I really don't think I'm as brave as you, Pal 1. But I do remember getting in trouble for like minor things. And one of the things that they used as a threat at the school I went to was putting us in something called isolation. And isolation, I mean, it's kind of exactly how it sounds. At our school, it was like one step above detention kind of thing. It wasn't as bad as like a suspension, but if you'd done something naughty that was deserving of like a slightly bigger punishment than detention, you would get put in isolation. I don't know whether this is just a UK thing or just a my school thing or something they have in other countries, but yeah, like when you were put in isolation, you were basically taken out of your usual classes for the whole day or the whole week, depending on like how big the punishment was and I guess how many staff they had. And you would be put on your own in a room with just you and the teacher, and you would sit at a desk and you would read and you would write. You would be assigned like tasks and just kind of get on with it. And the teacher, they're not really interacting with you, they're not really teaching you or anything. It's mostly just independent work, like reading by yourself and writing essays all day, that kind of thing. And to this day, for me personally, I do not understand how isolation was supposed to be a punishment, because I absolutely loved it. Like, I loved being on my own and just doing my own work, working independently. I loved not being overstimulated by the classroom environment. I loved not having to participate in group discussions because I'm quite shy. And I loved just getting to read my book all day and write about the book that I was reading. Like, this was not a punishment for me whatsoever. I would have been happy to do that every day. So when I found out I had to do isolation, I was secretly like, oh yes, like I can't wait. Whereas a more extroverted kid who loves like team stuff and class discussions probably would have found that like quite threatening, like, oh no, I don't want to go in isolation and be away from my friends or whatever. And I'm only using that as an example because it feels like there's something in your energy where you're just not scared of whatever somebody's trying to threaten you with, and it won't make you back down. Like, what scares other people is fun for you, is something I'm getting. Or at least if it's not fun, it doesn't have power over you. That's the message here. Now, another way this rebellious energy could show up is in the way you guys present yourselves. Some of you could dress, style, or carry yourselves in more of an unconventional way. I'm seeing emo phases here, goth or punk aesthetics, tattoos, different hair colours, piercings, combat boots, leather, dark lipsticks, bold makeup looks, all of that. Or even if it's not that specific aesthetic, it's something about you like fully knowing who you are and people being obsessed with the fact that you're not just here following trends. You very much have your own thing going on and you don't feel the need to fit in. And if somebody tells you what to do, if somebody's like, oh, you should wear your hair like this, or this would be more flattering, or, too many piercings aren't classy, whatever, you're like, F you, like, I do what I want. And people are obsessed with you because you just fully know who you are and you fully embrace it. Like, you're not afraid to show up authentically as you. And it kind of gives people this vibe like you are trouble, but in a good way. Like, trouble they kind of want to get wrapped up in. They see you as a disruptor of the system. An agent of chaos is something I'm getting. An anarchist. Yeah, someone who just isn't afraid to do things their own way, and it has people hooked, has people hanging on your every word and wanting to like go along for the ride just to see what you do next. And I'm getting that people get obsessed with your energy because you have this way about you where you can get people to do anything, Pal 1, or at least like people cannot say no to you. Like, they have no choice but to surrender is something I'm getting. And that's so interesting to me because, we literally have the surrender card showing up next to the devil. Like, the devil is underneath it. Like, hello? Could we be any more obvious? The devil is that addictive energy, that obsessive energy. It's temptation. It's this idea of like, I know this is a bad idea, but I want it anyway. So people definitely get hooked on you and obsessed easily, but I'm not reading this as some super dark, like actually devilish, demonic, evil energy. This is more just cheekiness is what I'm getting. It's giving like, people look at you and they're kind of saying, oh, this Pal 1 person could ruin my life. But I don't mean it as in like you're literally ruining people's lives, like you're enticing people into hard drugs and getting them addicted to heroin and destroying their lives. It's more like playful and lighthearted than that, so I don't want that to be taken the wrong way. It's like you can lead people astray in a fun way and they want to do it even if it might get them in trouble. I'm also hearing you can turn a good girl or a good guy into a bad one. I'm literally hearing Cobra Starship song right now, Good Girls Go Bad. I think Spirit has just been funny, but you give off this vibe of slight danger. I'm also hearing lead us not into temptation right now, which is that from the Lord's Prayer? I don't think I've ever quoted the Lord's Prayer before on this channel, but I guess there's a first time for everything. The really random example I'm getting, I'm sorry I'm getting so many like school examples. I just think when I think of rebellion, it makes me think of like rebellious teenager. But I'm thinking of like you could convince the star pupil, the goody two-shoes, the teacher's pet type of person who has never skipped school in their life to skip school with you one day because you're that convincing. And because even when people don't want to admit it, they want to ride along with you because it's always an interesting time. So yeah, you know, maybe for the teacher's pet, skipping school for one day is the equivalent of you ruining their life, because they would have had 100% attendance if it wasn't for you, right? But the thing is, you didn't make them do that. They wanted to come along with you. It's like you only bring out desires in people that are already there. I'm also getting this example of, do you know when people review a book or a show that has had a massive emotional impact on them, and they're like, this book ruined my life, this show ruined my life. And they don't mean that in a bad way. They mean it like, this messed me up in the best way possible. Like, this book ruined my life, you need to read it. Like, it was profound, or it was shocking, or it was deeply moving, or it was just this crazy journey that had like a lasting effect on them. This is the kind of energy you give people, pal one. Because a show that's just like meh, or a book that's forgettable, nobody is saying about that book or show, oh my god, this ruined my life, because they forget about it. But when someone says, this ruined my life, they're basically like singing its praises. They're saying, this affected me, this was wild, this was impactful. And now they're recommending it to everyone because even though they know it might mess them up too, it's going to be an interesting time. That's your energy. It's never boring with you. It's never like, meh, take it or leave it. It's like, damn, this person could mess up my life, but I want them to. And that's the obsession here. I keep hearing this phrase, bad idea. There's almost this energy of somebody who's like, sounds like a bad idea. Let's do it. Like, you do things just for the plot. And I'm thinking of Bad Idea by Ariana Grande. And I'm also thinking of Bad Idea by Olivia Rodrigo. Two very different songs, but, you know, similar bad idea themes. Like that push and pull of temptation, or being led astray, or doing something that sounds like a bad idea but you can't resist. That's coming through. And it creates this really interesting dynamic where people are deeply infatuated or attracted to you, but they might keep their distance or pull back at times. And sometimes you could think like, oh my god, was what I said too much? Like, did I scare this person off? You might think that they don't like you or they're awkward around you or something, but it's more like, it's definitely not that. Like, it's not that. These people feel powerless to resist you. They know they're going to give in to you one way or another. So sometimes they avoid the temptation entirely. People get obsessed with you, pal one, because you bring out a side of them that sometimes they've been repressing or pushing down. And they feel like your energy makes them want to give in to that side. And even with that random example we gave about the star pupil, if they didn't have that deep desire to rebel themselves, they wouldn't have done it, but they did because a part of them wanted to. But then those are the types of people who will say like, you made me do this, or you led me astray, you got me in trouble. And it's just, it makes me think of that phrase, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You didn't make them do anything, you know, they only did it because deep down they wanted to. You just brought that side out of them and it scared them. So there's something here about you being a mirror to people's own repressed desires. It kind of feels like scapegoat energy sometimes too, people calling you a bad influence. But you never make anybody do anything they don't already want to do. That's the thing. That's what we keep coming back to. I'm also now hearing How Bad Do You Want Me by Lady Gaga. And this specific devil card from the Audacity deck is for some reason making me think of the game Coffee Talk. Like, there's something about your energy where people become quickly obsessed with you because they feel like they can open up to you, they can spill secrets, they can talk about forbidden stuff or explore hidden fantasies. Like, there's something about you that feels safe enough for them to be honest, but it's also tempting enough that it makes them feel a little bit unhinged at times. And again, going back to like that idea of this scapegoat energy, it's like when people say, you know, the devil made me do it. It's like pile one made me do it. But really they're outsourcing their agency because they're not admitting that deep down they wanted it. And a really, really minor example I'm getting is like you inviting your friend out with you and they're immediately shaking their head. They're like, no, I can't. Like, I can't go out with you. I have work tomorrow. And I know that if I go out with you, we're both going to drink too much and I'm going to get in trouble at work tomorrow. And you're like, that's okay. You know, you don't have to come. But you can tell that they really want to. And they give in because they can't help it. They're like, oh, okay, then you convinced me. Like, I'll go out with you. You didn't beg them. You didn't force them. They wanted to go. But then later, when they have this terrible hangover, they're like, I told you we would do this. You shouldn't have invited me out. You led me astray. That's what I mean. They want to be part of it. They don't want to miss out. They want to go wherever you go because they know they are going to have so much fun and the best time of their life. But then they might also blame you for including them, like you had some sort of power over them that influenced their decision. And I'm getting so many different examples of how this energy could play out, but the core message is people are obsessed with you because you're too tempting. What you offer is too tempting. People are drawn in. People are seduced by it. They can't help but look. They can't help but want to be around it. So if this is in a physical sense, it could be lust, you know, like people being tempted by you in that way. And sometimes it unsettles them. And when I say it unsettles them, I don't mean that they think it's bad to have a crush on you. I mean, it goes back to that thing of like you bringing out desires in people who have been repressing it. So, you know, maybe someone decides they don't want to date right now because they've been heartbroken in the past, or they want to remain celibate, or they just don't get crushes on people easily. They're trying to be above love and relationships. And then you show up and you challenge those ideals they set for themselves. And they might then act awkward or avoidant around you because essentially I'm hearing they know that they could get lost in the source. That's something I'm hearing specifically. They could get lost in the source. So you could notice people who act normal with others acting a little weird around you because the feeling is so intense. And I'm also thinking of people in relationships. This won't apply to everyone, but if it does for you, it's just extra confirmation. You will know if it applies for you. If it doesn't, or if you're not sure, then it probably doesn't. It's not something you have to worry about. But with that devil energy, I'm thinking of this idea of shame and repression. And again, I'm not saying you are doing anything to facilitate this behavior, but there are certain people in relationships, and we all know these types of people, but they are serial cheaters and liars. Like in every relationship they've been in, they cannot remain loyal, and those types of people will hit on you no matter what because they're not great people. Like, that's one thing. But I think most people want to be loyal and respectful to their partner, so they might avoid situations where their loyalty could be tested. So this could indicate, like, sometimes people in relationship get in unexpected crushes on you, even though they know they're not supposed to, even though they wouldn't act on it necessarily, they feel tempted. So they're not trying to cheat with you, but they could feel a type of way around you, or they can't help but secretly spy on your social media, and then they feel ashamed about it. Or it doesn't even have to be that they're in a relationship, but they could just get these crushes that they feel like they have to keep secret. This could also be specifically for some of you and ex who can't stop obsessively checking up on you, even if they're with someone new. And I'm only using these things as examples because of the devil energy, but I am getting this vibe of like some people are ready to risk it all just to have a good time with you. And that just made me think, like, if you had an ex talking about, you know, how happy they are with their new person all over social media, if you popped up asking them to meet, they would do it in a heartbeat. They'd risk what they have now for a chance to talk to you without hesitation. Not that you would do that, not that you would want to do that, pal one, but they would. That's what I'm saying. And I think sometimes people feel unsettled by how easily you have them hooked. Like, if you wanted something from them, you could get it, essentially. But most of the time, you don't even really want anything from these people. But again, because it's that devil and it's sometimes that scapegoat energy, you know, this could be your ex's new partner hating on you when you haven't done anything wrong. You don't even want the ex. But maybe the new partner found out your ex was like stalking your social media or still hooked on you, and now the new partner makes you the problem. Like, you need to stop posting pictures looking good because you're trying to attract this person. And you're like, I'm not even thinking about this person. You know, it's that kind of thing. It makes me think of that thing where people blame the person their partner cheated with more than they blame their partner. Like, nobody can make your partner cheat unless it was literally some extreme situation like kidnapping and threats. Like, aside from somebody having a pew-pew held to their head, you know, it's a choice, but people will make you the devil in their mind because it's easier to blame the devil, right? It's easier to make you the antagonist so they don't have to confront the behavior of the person who was supposed to be loyal to them. So it's easy to say like, oh, pal one is leading people astray, but really you're just unearthing what people already feel. And I'm also thinking of like themes around schmexuality, if that applies. Again, I'm sorry I have to say it like that. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say it on YouTube, so I just err on the side of caution. But again, this won't apply to everyone, but it can be something, you know, like we say, people repress or feel shame over. So this could be someone in denial about their own feelings, you know, being deeply enticed by you, and maybe having to confront that might feel confusing. So this could literally be like, I didn't think I swung that way, but something about this pal one person has me hooked. Like, what is this feeling? If this is the same schmex thing, and because they feel ashamed, they might start blaming you. I know this is a very specific message. It might only just apply to one person. Just skip it if it's not for you. But it could be like, you kiss, you hook up, you exchange numbers. And then the next day, this person is like, I don't even swing that way. Like, I'm straight. I don't even like you like that. And it's like, sure, Jan. It doesn't even have to be physical attractiveness, though. It could be your ideology, your views, the things you say out loud that other people are scared to say out loud. People get obsessed with the things you say and your views on the world. So if you share opinions, political opinions, opinions about society, if you talk openly about causes or you advocate for certain things, I feel like you guys get people obsessively circling back to your page because something you say sticks with them. And with the day you plant the seed, it feels like this is instant. You know, it could be this love at first sight kind of energy where someone locks eyes with you, sees you across the room, hears you talk, and the seed is planted. They're like, I have to get to know this person. But I'm also interpreting it as something you say, a perspective you give, hits people unexpectedly. And even if they don't openly agree with like everything you say, they find themselves returning to your page, asking your opinion, latching onto your words because now an idea is planted and it gets them thinking differently. It gives them this new perspective. And you know that earlier example of like an ex stalking your page even though they're not supposed to? It's a similar energy but with your actual ideology and the ideas you share. Like, people are obsessed with the way you deliver messages, and even if they feel like, oh, I'm not supposed to like this person or I'm not supposed to agree with them, they still kind of do. But maybe they feel ashamed. And this is where it's like, even your haters are your fans, pal one, essentially, because they keep coming back. You know, maybe they don't follow you openly, but they return, stuck on your every word. They lurk, they circle, they orbit because something you said or the way you said it just landed. And it's like they can't stop thinking about it. And an example I'm getting is if you share a viewpoint openly, if you advocate for something, you could have someone on the complete opposite end of the political or social spectrum obsessively going back to your page. Something about the way you deliver that message just lands for them. And there's this tiny part of them that's like, maybe pal one has a point, and that's why they keep returning. But then they might feel like they can't follow you publicly because people in their demographic will be like, why are you following this person? They believe XYZ and that's not us. For some of them, this could be indoctrination, religious trauma, shame-based systems, that kind of thing, them still leaning on some kind of authority that is corrupt and you were calling that out. So they feel this internalized shame for partially agreeing with you, even if it's just in their head. They don't like your post, they don't engage because they don't want to get caught, but in secret, they keep going back. They're stuck on you. And so you could be impacting people in ways you don't even realize. And it could be something like advocating for fairness or a social justice cause where, you know, they can't comment hyping you up because if their friends and their family saw it, they'd be like, that's not what we do. But they are kind of like maybe the black sheep in their own community maybe, so they just do it in secret and they secretly agree with you. So if there's a cause you speak about openly that's kind of controversial, a lot of people support it in some way, even if they're not open about it or they feel like they have to hide it because of their own shame. You're definitely not afraid to disrupt social norms to live in your truth, and people are deeply fascinated by that. You give off this energy like you're very aware of what you bring to the table, like you know you bring the heat, and it doesn't come across as arrogant, but it does come across as very self-assured and confident. People wonder what it took for you to get to that place. They admire it, and a lot of them obsess over whether they could reach the place they perceive you as being at. So if you talk about like self-love openly, if you reject criticism and judgment, people who have insecurities they're ashamed of might project onto you. But the thing is, pal one, is that you shine anyway. You know who you are, you know what you're about and what you bring to the table. And some people might be like, how do they have so much confidence? How are they so sure of themselves? It's like they want to study you, almost like you're a case study. Like, how did pal one get to where they are now? And with that Eight of Pentacles, it could be that it took work and dedication to get from A to B, especially if there was something you used to be insecure about or shamed for, or like some part of you wasn't lovable. But now it's as though you fully embrace it. You've poured love into yourself and it radiates off you. And so people are obsessed with this warm, bouncy, glowy, radiant, full of life energy that you have, and they wonder how you can access it or what it's taken for you to feel secure in who you are. And for some of you, you've always been this way. You know, you've always had that inner courage and strength and that mindset of like, nobody can tear me down. I'm gonna be who I am, and if someone doesn't like it, that's on them. But for others of you, it's more this emotional resilience, and it's something you've built up over time. You know, maybe you used to have insecurities and now you've progressed and you've come such a long way. But either way, people are obsessed with your confidence and your light and the way you carry yourself with such like dignity and self-belief. And with that Six of Cups, if people from your past knew you when you were perhaps struggling more with insecurities, if that ever did apply, and now you're shining and showcasing yourself or your talents, people are genuinely in awe of you. They're like, how did they come so far? How did they build themselves up like that? People are obsessed with how strong and secure you come across. And when I say that they're asking like, how is pal one so confident? I don't mean it like they think that you shouldn't be confident. It's not that. It's more like you never seem to let anything faze you and you don't let negativity dim your light. So if some of you, as just one example, are content creators and you go viral, and with that virality, you get a lot of love, but you also get some hate. People are obsessed with the fact that you seem to never let it faze you. They're like, I couldn't cope with the amount of hate you get, but you deal with it in such a funny way, and it just never seems to affect you or stop you being you. Or it could be a different example. It could be you going out in goth makeup, minding your own business, and you get comments from people about how you dress or how you look, and you never feel the need to tone it down for someone else's comfort. People are obsessed that you always stand tall no matter what. You're not going to do the normal conventional thing just to make somebody else happy, and you seem genuinely content in who you are and how you show up. And for some of you, if you have a business or a product you're selling or a service you provide, people could be obsessed with what you're putting out because it's the best of the best. It stands out from the competition in some way. It's elevated, is something I'm getting. So if you have a small business or you guys are thinking of starting one, that's a message for somebody. Like, your work is going to stand out. People are obsessed with what you create, whether it's content or products, services, your creations, like something about it really stands out amongst the crowd. But yeah, I just keep wanting to come back to this message of people are obsessed with how you know who you are. You know, with the Eight of Pentacles, it does feel to me like there could have been some shadow work in terms of like radical self-acceptance and divine self-awareness as well. It's like you've reached this place of contentment where nobody can ever bring you down, because even if you do still have like some things you're sensitive about, you've fully accepted them, you've learned to love them, and you've actually transmuted them. And when I say you've learned to love yourself, I don't mean you're walking around like, I'm the best, I'm perfect, and I never do anything wrong. No, it's more like you know who you are, including any like perceived flaws, including things that maybe in the past you've been less proud of, and because you accept all of it, nobody has power over you with it. Part of your confidence is recognizing strengths and weaknesses and being honest with yourself and owning it. And I'm thinking of the example of neurodivergence right now. I'm not saying you have to be neurodivergent, but you can take it as extra confirmation if you are. But I'm just using this as an example to highlight the point. Obviously apply it to your situation. But if you're neurodivergent and you're undiagnosed, there can be things you don't do the way everybody else does, and it's easy to feel ashamed about those things because you don't understand why it might be easy for other people and not for you. And that adds this internal layer of shame. But when you get diagnosed and when you understand your neurodivergence and you know that there's a reason, there's acceptance. It doesn't mean I never have to work on these things that might be issues. Like if you're late all the time, if you have ADHD, which, hello, like I'm calling myself out here. This is still something I'm working on. It's not saying like, oh, it's okay that I'm late because I have ADHD. It's like, I understand there's a reason why I'm late some of the time, and this is something I can work on. But it's about understanding that there was a barrier there. Or, you know, maybe things that don't need improvement. Like, this is just the way you are, and if it doesn't affect anybody else, that's okay. And it's about saying like, hey, I don't do this thing like other people, and that's fine. I accept that. I do it my way. So instead of berating yourself like, oh, my neurodivergence makes me terrible at this, it's like, my neurodivergence means a different way is easier for me and I can feel confident doing it differently. And you don't mind being open about why you do things the way you do. It's not always something you need to apologize for. It's just another layer of who you are. So when somebody says like, why are you doing it like that? I don't do that. Instead of shrinking, you can be like, oh, like your way is cool for you, but I'm going to do it this way because that's what works for my brain. That's the vibe. People are obsessed with that level of self-acceptance. Now, I got this example that I'm about to give recently in another reading, and I can't for the life of me remember which reading it was, but I said something about like when you go to an event and you get seated at one end of the table and the conversation at that end of the table is very flat, you can't engage, it's not your vibe, and then you look over and the other end of the table is crying, laughing, hyping each other up, sharing these crazy stories, and you're like, oh damn, I got sat at the wrong end of the table, like I want to be over there. It's kind of this FOMO energy, and I'm getting that energy here, but with you. That's how people feel about you. People are obsessed with you because they always want to be at your end of the table. Wherever you go, whoever you're with, it always seems like you are having the most fun or you're about to do something fun. So people get FOMO, but with your energy. They don't want to miss out. And it loops back into that earlier message of people like blaming you for leading them astray. It's because they don't want to miss out on being led astray. Like if you say you're going to a party, suddenly everyone wants to go. You might notice that in a friend group or at work or whatever, if you are planning to go somewhere, suddenly everyone wants to go. Like let's say it's a work party and your friends are like, oh, do you know what? I'm not going to the Christmas party because last year I got really drunk and it wasn't that fun. Like, I think I'll just give it a miss. And you're like, oh, really? Like, I'm going. I just paid my deposit today. And suddenly they're like, wait, you're going? Okay, maybe I'll come. Maybe I'll come then. Because they're like, if pal one is going, it's going to be fun. No matter what you do with someone, it leads somewhere exciting. It leads to the best conversations, trying something new, something funny, something very memorable, an expansion in perspective. People want to be part of that. They want to be at your end of the table. Even in the same room, you could be laughing with your friend and people tend to get nosy. Like, what are you laughing at? What are you talking about? They want to insert themselves into your life because it always seems like you're doing something interesting or you're moving to this next level. And there's something about people feeling like you always have a secret, like you always have a trick up your sleeve. People get obsessed trying to work out what you're doing or where you're going next. And I'm also hearing you're not afraid to go there. And that could be like how assertive you are, how you say what needs to be said. And for some people, it's kind of intimidating. You make them feel like a little kid, but you also make them feel like a little kid in a fun way, is what I want to say. There's something very playful about your energy. Maybe you guys play little pranks, maybe you do playful roasts. Maybe you just have this vibrant, silly, goofy sense of humor that is genuinely addicting and captivating. It's like you make people feel like they're a child again. I'm hearing this phrase like a naughty school child. Like, whenever people are with you, it feels like going on an adventure and it makes them feel young again. And I'm also getting something about people being obsessed with trying to impress you at times. And again, it goes back to that thing of wanting to be at your end of the table. And I don't know why I keep getting like high school vibes, but it almost gives this queen bee energy. And I'm thinking of Regina George from Mean Girls. And this is not me saying that you're a mean girl. Let me be clear about that. But some people could find you intimidating at first, maybe because you're intimidatingly hot or you're very direct. But I'm just thinking of it in the way where everyone's a little bit scared, but they also desperately want to be invited to sit with the popular girls. Like, people obsess over you like you're this super popular and well-liked person and they want to impress you, so you'll invite them to sit at the cool table. And obviously, you know, we're not in high school anymore and those hierarchies are dumb. I'm not saying you enforce that. It's more like, you know how Regina isn't afraid to do things that are out of the norm because if she does something, she knows she can set off a trend because she knows who she is. Like when she puts on the shirt with the holes in it, she can just make it work. It doesn't faze her because she knows that other people will copy her. And it's more like that energy with you. Like, you're so sure of yourself that whatever you do becomes cool and people are obsessed with that divine level of acceptance. Sometimes it makes them feel bashful, like you're the cool older sibling and they just want to be included by you. Like they want to do something to get your attention, so you'll invite them to the table. But I'm also getting something about people replaying conversations they've had with you. So they replay conversations in their mind, they obsess over them. People from your past still think about times they had with you, and sometimes they blush thinking about it. They replay events as if those events happened yesterday. So they might reminisce over things you said or things you did together. These people could be exes, old friends, people who just had their very best times with you. I feel like a lot of these people look back and they're like, that was the best time. Like, if they went on holiday with you or something years ago, they've got all these crazy stories, like, the best time I ever had was in Italy with Pal 1 and we did all these crazy things, like we got into so much trouble, but it was the best time. And they still talk about it as though it was the highlight of their life. They tell other people about it because it somehow makes them feel cool and fun by proxy, because your bravery makes people brave. Your light makes people shine. So those stories become the most interesting things about them, the stories they still tell. And Pal 1, you come up in a lot of people's stories, even if you're not friends with them anymore. People are like, oh my god, I used to have this friend, he or she was the craziest, the most hilarious, we were always getting into mischief together. Like, you're still a character in people's lore, essentially. Now with the justice card, again, there's a strong sense of justice. If you see something happening that you don't think is fair, you're not afraid to speak out. You're like, no, I don't agree with that. I don't think that's right. And people are obsessed with the way you are not afraid to be honest. You're not afraid to speak your mind and be assertive. And with the Ace of Wands, you have this very fiery energy as well. Again, you're not afraid to go there. You're not afraid to say what other people are afraid to say, and you're not afraid to do things for the plot. And people are obsessed when you get fired up, when you're passionate, if you ever go on rants or tangents, if you get worked up about societal issues and you speak openly about them. People are obsessed with the way you do that. And honestly, Pal 1, people are also obsessed with you because you're hot. Like, I'm sorry. Just with the Ace of Wands, I don't know what else to tell you. You have the fire, you have the warmth, you are that girl, that guy, that non-binary person, whatever. People are obsessed with how warm you are, how you embrace people for their differences, and how you stick up for the underdog. All of that makes you hot just as much as your physical attraction makes you hot. Like, and it's how you won't submit to anyone, like how you won't fit in just to please anyone, how you're truly uniquely yourself. That is so addictive and hot. They're obsessed with your confidence, your light, your willingness to go there, how you light something up within them as well, like how you spark passion in them and how you get them addicted from the moment you plant that little seed in their mind and in their hearts. That's why people get obsessed with your energy, Pal 1. And that's where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. Thank you so much for being here and for spending your time with me. I genuinely appreciate it more than you could ever know. If anything in this reading resonated for you, please feel free to like, to comment, hype, share, and sub if you're called to. That is truly the best way to support a small channel like mine, and it really helps me keep making content like this. If you feel comfortable, I would love to hear from you, even if it's just to let me know which pal you chose or to leave a random emoji. That honestly helps me more than you know. And on a personal note, I really do love hearing from you guys. Your comments truly mean a lot and they never ever go unnoticed. With that said, I'm sending you lots of love. Take care of yourselves and I'll see you in the next one, Pal 1. Hi Pal 2 Collective. If you chose the Real Talk Tarot and the Balloons sticker and you chose Pal 2, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled, Why People Get So Obsessed with Your Energy, What Makes Your Vibe Intoxicating and Addictive. If you'd like a full breakdown regarding what this reading will entail, please check out my introduction. I go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I would recommend checking at least one of those out so you know what to expect from this reading today. But just a quick recap, this reading is exploring why people become obsessed with you, what about your energy feels so addictive to others, and why your presence leaves such a strong impression on other people. So if you have ever found that people get hooked on your vibe quickly and you're left wondering why, this reading is here to unpack that with you. With that said, let's get straight into your reading today. Of course, we are using tarot cards and oracle cards, as always, so I'm just going to pop your little balloon sticker, if I can pick it up, to one side for now so we can focus on the cards. So starting over here from the Archetypes Oracle, we have Engineer, Light Attributes, Ability to give creative energy a practical expression, Talent for designing resolutions to common dilemmas. So you're definitely a very talented pile. That's coming through already. And the shadow attribute for that is Reliance on mechanistic solutions without regard for emotional consequences. And from the Wild Muse Oracle, we have got Love is in the Air. Beautiful. Some of you could have strong Venusian placements, Taurus, Libra, Venus in the first house, Venus conjunct the Ascendant, although that does not have to apply. From the Deep Dive Oracle, we have got Luminous Gems, explore and nurture the many diverse talents. Oh my god, it's mentioning talents again and potentials hidden within you. Oh, it doesn't say hidden within you, it just says within you. Hidden treasures. Okay, that's why I'm getting confused. You kind of got me stumbling over my words a little bit here, pal too. So there could be something about you that has people stumbling over their words. I don't know, getting a bit shy. That's how I'm feeling. From the Pearls of Wisdom Oracle, we've got alchemy. The sacred art of alchemy lays in your ability to transmute your atmosphere into a supportive, nurturing environment. And from the Audacity deck, we have got the moon. Okay. That's interesting because the Luminous Gems card mentions hidden treasures, and then we've got the moon, and we've got alchemy, which is very sort of magician-y to me. But let's have a look at your tarot. Knight of Pentacles, and clarifying the Knight of Pentacles, we've got the Ace of Wands, and we have got the Four of Cups, and clarifying the Four of Cups, we've got the World, and we have got the Three of Pentacles, and clarifying the Three of Pentacles, we've got the Eight of Cups. Interesting. There's a car alarm going off, so you can take that as extra confirmation if you would like. Oh, it stopped. I think it stopped. It'll probably start again in a second. Always alarms going off around here, so sorry for any background sounds. I do try and reduce it during editing, but sometimes it's impossible. Okay, pal two. So the first thing I'm getting is that one reason people get obsessed with your energy is that with you, it really feels like there's always more than what meets the eye. There's a lot bubbling beneath the surface, and people can sense that is something that I'm getting. It's like they can feel there are hidden treasures here within you. There's layers, there's depth, there's nuance, and they want to discover what those hidden gems actually are. I feel like people get obsessed with you because they sense that you're always feeling and understanding and knowing more than what you let on, or more than what is just like obvious on that surface level. And people get really curious about what's going on inside your head and inside your heart as well, because I get the sense that most people don't have access to that pile too. There's a huge sense of exclusivity with you. Like, no, not everyone gets to see certain sides of me. Not everyone gets to go deeper here. And that is very fascinating to people. And you don't even have to be doing anything dramatic. You could just be naturally private, like naturally very contained. But it's something that keeps people guessing, and that guessing game is very addictive for them. You could absolutely be the type of person where you are not just friends with anybody and everybody. It's definitely like quality over quantity with you. So maybe your circle is small and very like carefully curated, but it's loyal, you know? And you could be the type of person where you don't have to attend every single event. You don't have to engage with everyone. There are some things, in fact, probably many things that you decline pal to. Some things you keep to yourself. And it kind of makes people want to like fill in the blanks about you. So they could obsess over the things they cannot see and cannot gain access to. Because again, you don't share everything with everybody. You're kind of private, and that mystery is very magnetic to people. And when I was pulling these cards, one of the first phrases that I heard was alchemical reaction. So I think there's something about you causing an alchemical reaction in people, Balto. But it confuses them because it's something that's layered. Like, it's not obvious. It's not like super loud. It's very much happening under the surface. I don't know why I'm hearing vibrating under the surface. I don't know what that means, but I can imagine people becoming obsessed with you in a romantic sense as just one example, because you can interact with someone and there's this like intense chemistry and there's this spark and this tension that they feel in their body, even if nothing is being said out loud. And that just elevates the potential for obsession with you, because conversations with you can feel charged or a little bit flirty, even if you're not intentionally flirting. That's the thing. Like, a lot of the time when we're having an obviously flirty conversation with somebody, it's deliberate. Like, it's this surface level banter. And both people know, like, yeah, this person likes me. Like, we've got a little thing going on here, because it's all out in the open, you know, people are making it obvious. But with you, it's really hard to explain. It's not necessarily what you're saying, but it's how you're saying it. It's like the tone of your voice that someone feels kind of vibrating or pulsing in their body. It could be the eye contact you make, even with like unspoken words, or it could be the goosebumps someone feels just from your proximity. Like, why is Pal 2 standing next to me giving me shivers right now, but in a good way? And then that person goes home and they're like, what even was that? Like, what just happened? Because on the surface, the conversation could have been totally platonic, so they're confused, and confusion is just this breeding ground for obsession. So then you have people spiraling, like, did me and Pal 2 just have a moment, or was that all in my head? Like, am I delulu here? And you haven't given anything away. That's the thing. That's what gets them thinking and gets them hooked. For all they know, you could be married with 3 kids and their little fantasy is completely unreciprocated because you don't leave these hints scattered around on the surface. Again, it's not obvious with you. It's something where people have to dig a little bit deeper to like find the hidden meaning or work you out like you're some kind of puzzle. And people do, they start trying to work you out and they obsess over finding these things out about you that you don't make obvious. So, you know, after that conversation, they could be trying to figure out, like, are you single? What's your type? What do you like? What are you into? What do you do in your spare time? Could you be interested in me? All of these things you don't give away, but there's still this strange spark and electricity. One random confirmation I'm getting is this could be something that's happening more recently, but this could be something that's happened throughout your life, Pal 2. If you find that you keep giving people electric shocks, like they keep getting electric shocks off you, or you get them very often with other people for no reason, like you could be sort of shaking hands with somebody even, and let's say a few other people have shaken hands with this person and there's no shock, but when you shake hands with them, it's like an electric shock, especially with like, I don't know why engineer is making me think of that. I guess I'm thinking of like electrician or something as well. An electrician could be significant as another confirmation, but yeah, that's coming through. That's just a random message for someone. But yeah, this is where I'm getting that sometimes when it comes to you, you get people doing the most. Like you get people staying up at night, stalking your social media, trying to find out this basic information, or maybe you're randomly popping into their dreams. Like they have an out of the blue spicy dream about you, Pal 2, and they wake up like, why the heck did I just dream about this person? Like I've literally only spoken to them twice at work and now I'm having a spicy dream about them. Like you seep into their subconscious and suddenly they're like blushing around you. Suddenly they're a little bit awkward. Suddenly they have this crush with no real idea where it came from because you haven't even done very much, but they just cannot stop thinking about you, and then they start filling in the blanks. And of course, for some of you, this kind of energy can sometimes lend itself to things like limerence, like people projecting ideals onto you, falling for you very, very quickly when on your side you feel like maybe they don't actually know the real you because they are sort of projecting these fantasies. And in, you know, those unrequited situations, that can feel like a bit of a curse at times because you might feel like people get carried away and they run with it. But in those moments where a crush is mutual and you want someone to be a little bit obsessed with you, Pal 2, you are absolutely a master at getting that to happen without even trying too hard. Because for you, it can be one conversation, you know, like one lingering look, one moment of intense eye contact, and suddenly, you know, someone can't stop thinking about you. They're deeply fascinated, they're hooked. They want to know you deeper because, yeah, there's so much going on underneath, but it can absolutely be a slow burn. And you don't make it easy for people, Pal 2. And I wouldn't even say that you're like playing hard to get. That's what I wanted to say at first, but the thing is you're not playing, like you are actually hard to get. You are selective, I think that's the thing. You are exclusive with your time and with your energy, and that makes people even more kind of pumped up and curious, like, how do I get to that new layer? How do I go deeper? Oh. Yeah, how do I go deeper? How do I get to know Pal 2 on that more intimate level? Because it's very clearly reserved for the best of the best, and people become obsessed with trying to like earn it. And this is where I really want to talk about that engineer archetype, because this is where the picture started forming for me when I first saw that card. And I actually love that the archetype cards have a light and a shadow side, because I think it lends itself to a bigger picture. And I definitely think that shadow side here is less like one of your flaws and more perhaps a protective mask you wear around people who haven't earned access to your deeper layers yet. The engineer is very much like, you can take creative energy and make it practical. And you guys, you don't just dream, you actually build it. You don't just talk about it, you go and do it. There's something really competent and grounded and impressive about you and your capabilities and your talents. And a tangible example that I'm thinking of, it doesn't have to be this one for you, but when we talk about that masking thing, if this is you in like a professional work setting, this could be like when you're in that professional work setting, you are very, very different to the you that your closest friends and family get to see, which is normal, right? Like most of us, most people mask a little bit at work depending on the environment and the expectations and what's appropriate to share versus what isn't. But But when you spend a lot of time with people in a work setting, those personal layers often start to seep through, especially with people who lack boundaries. And I just want to say here, like, everybody's boundaries are different. I'm not saying it's wrong to share your personal life with colleagues if you genuinely trust them. That's fine. But the point is, you guys, you are intentional with what you keep to yourself versus what you share. Like, not everybody gets to know everything about you, and that is a deliberate choice. And when people don't know what they want to know about you, and you perplex them, and you're this unknowable mystery, it can lead to fascination, and yes, in some instances, obsession. Some people might just view it as you being private and they respect it, but others could become more entitled. Like, they feel as though they deserve access to information that they don't need to know, and they perceive you as secretive, and then they go on this quest to kind of get things out of you that you maybe don't feel comfortable sharing. And sometimes, you know, that might manifest as people trying to provoke reactions out of you because they are obsessed with seeing how you work, how you operate, like you're this machine that they want to take apart, and with that engineer card, like how you respond or what it would take to like crack you. Oh, and crack has like a double meaning as well, and I wasn't thinking of it in the spicy way. I was thinking of it more like how to undo you psychologically when I said crack, but it could also mean in the physical way. I don't know, but I'm definitely getting this message that people are obsessed with you because, again, you are very contained. I can imagine you in that work example keeping things very professional, not emotional at all, very much like about your business. Like, no, I'm not going to tell you about my divorce. No, I'm not going to show you pictures of my kids. No, I'm not going to gossip with you at the work party. No, I'm not going to tell you even what I'm watching on Netflix tonight. Like, I'm just here to do the business and get the job done. You give this energy of keeping to yourself when the occasion calls for it. And I'm not saying that, you know, you can't be friends with anyone at work. Maybe you do have one or two people you actually trust and you share some of that stuff with, and other people you don't. That's fine. But the point is, there is a clear line between who you are in certain settings versus others. And you're good at like having that wall of protection and privacy. You don't give anyone more than what they need to know. You come across as very pragmatic and observant, sometimes quiet, but also like you always know more than what you let on. And yeah, that sparks that obsession in people. You know, sometimes it's in that romantic way. Sometimes it's just entitlement, like, for example, colleagues or managers or bosses fishing for information that you haven't given them access to and you don't want to give them access to. So like, oh, are they married? Do they have kids? Or people fishing for your opinions and values, like, what do you think about this? What are your politics? And you give them nothing if it's not the right occasion to give them anything. You have this vibe of always figuring out how things work, and you know way more about other people than they do about you. And in some instances, you guys could act kind of like a mirror. And of course, as we mentioned, that can lead to projection. People either might idealize you and put you on a pedestal, or they could respond negatively, because if someone thinks negatively of themselves, they'll project that onto you. So on the one hand, people can become obsessed with you because they feel like their secrets are safe with you. They could open up to you very easily because you give this vibe of like you will keep things safe and private. They know that you're not going to be gossiping, and that feels very nurturing. That feels like a safe space. They're like, this is a sacred person. They're quiet, they're observant, they're trustworthy. And then they become obsessed with wanting to tell you things, wanting your opinion, sometimes wanting your validation because you're great at figuring stuff out. And you could find in that idealization, sometimes people can even become dependent on your advice because you seem like the stable one, and you attract people maybe who are less stable at times, or you have done in the past, because you're this solid one who thinks before they speak, and you don't get swept away emotionally. Even if you're very emotional in private, you don't show this. You can be very contained in the public eye, but it can also be a double-edged sword, because some people, you know, just don't like people who keep to themselves because they can't comprehend being content, staying in your own lane, because those types of people might need more outside input to function. So then they project. If you don't join every single conversation that's happening, suddenly you're like not a team player. Or if you don't share every opinion, you're being sneaky. And it's not actually that you're doing anything wrong. It's that your strong presence without needing constant words of affirmation is unsettling to people who rely on that constant affirmation from external sources. Like, if someone isn't confident in their own opinions or values, or they are deeply people-pleasing, your very existence can make them anxious because you don't give them the validation they're looking for. I can imagine you deliberately not sharing your opinion sometimes, and it's not because you don't have one, you do, but it's because you're cautious with your energy, and again, you are deliberate. So sometimes someone shares their opinion and they're desperate for you to mirror it back, and you just smile and you're like, oh, that's an interesting perspective. And inside their head, their mind is screaming, but what do you think, Paltu? I need to know what you think so that I'm safe having this opinion near you. So sometimes people might even have to ask you what you think before they share fully. And when you do speak, they definitely realize that you have way more insight than you let on, and they become transfixed by your opinion, and they're just in awe of like how much you've managed to pick up on and figure out. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if people who tend to talk and talk and talk about themselves get obsessed with you, Paltu. Like, they end up just giving you their whole life story and they see you as their best friend, but in reality, they actually don't know that much about you. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens a lot, almost like you kind of adopt people or people adopt you as their safe space, just very naturally. But yeah, there's something about people getting obsessed with how composed you are, how professional you are, how you're about your business, and this is where that shadow side of the engineer shows up. But I get that it's more like on the surface because people might assume you're not emotional or they think you're detached, but that's just the surface layer. But they can still sense that it goes deeper. But the thing is, you do not crumble in front of people you don't feel safe being vulnerable with, like not ever. You can come across as very unfazed, and because of that, some people might become obsessed with getting a reaction out of you, like, you know, I never see Paltu ruffled, I never see them off their game. And then for some people, that becomes, how do I ruffle their feathers? How do I get them to speak up? How do I get them to lash out? Especially people who have an obsession with causing conflict. Most people just see you as like strong and resilient, but some other people, it's like they want to knock you off this pedestal that they've created. It's really weird. But with the Knight of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands, there's definitely this thing of you seeming nonchalant on the surface, but beneath it, there's this fire. And I think, you know, that refers back to what we were just saying. Like, you can come across as detached on the surface, but people sense there's like heat beneath that. And I'm hearing that quote. I don't know if it applies to you or if you consider yourself this way, but somebody could have said this to you before. I'm hearing that quote that's like, it's always the quiet ones. You know, people say that. And I'm not saying you have to be quiet, but it's that vibe of like, the passion is there. It's just controlled. Like, you know when to light the match and when to leave people in the dark, because not everybody deserves your warmth. Not everybody deserves your light. And that frustrates people who want the satisfaction of getting something out of you. You don't hold back because you have nothing to say. You hold back because you're like, is this person even worth it? And if the answer is no, you simply won't engage. But that aggravates certain people. You know, they're like, why won't they gossip with us at the work party? Are we not good enough for them? Why don't they tell us the details we think we're entitled to know? And you're like, because you're not entitled, that's why. And you never want to give people the satisfaction of giving away what you don't want to give away. And I'm also kind of getting this example of this energy could be interpreted in like a spicy way too. Like, on the surface, you might look very stoic, or I'm getting the word subdued, or like you don't give an F, but underneath, people can sense you're a little firecracker. That's what I'm getting. They feel like you're a firecracker. And it's that energy of like, I'm hearing the quote, lady in the streets, freak in the sheets. It doesn't have to be literal, but it's that idea that people know you're holding back and they become obsessed with what you're like in private. But it doesn't just have to be physically, it could be in all ways. Like, people want to unravel you. They want to understand you deeply. They want inside your world, but you keep your private world private. And again, not everybody gets access, so people naturally obsess. And you could find that people actually obsess over tiny details when it comes to you because you give so little away that they have to latch on to these things. Like, they start noticing these minute details like, oh, Paltu goes to lunch at 12 o'clock Monday to Thursday, but on Fridays they go to lunch at 1 p.m. What could that mean? You know, not that example exactly. It might mean literally nothing, but because you're a mystery, people start turning your life into this puzzle that they want to solve. They're trying to put the pieces together. And I'm getting this energy of people wanting to get you alone or get you drunk or give you like a truth serum so you'll open up, but you're so intelligent and you're so perceptive that you're always 10 steps ahead, Paltu. And I'm getting this funny little scenario in my head right now. And it's like this example where somebody thinks, great, I have Paltu exactly where I want them. We both took this truth elixir and now I'm going to find out their deepest secrets. But there's a plot twist because you already know what they were trying to do. So you already took the anecdote. So the truth serum has no effect on you. It only affects them. And suddenly they're the ones confessing like, oh, I brought you here so I could get you to reveal your darkest secrets. And you're there sort of stroking their head like, you're not going to do that again, are you? And they're like, no, I promise. And then people learn not to like fuck with you basically, or overstep your boundaries once they get a taste of what happens when they try. Obviously, you know, this example isn't literal, but the energy is like that. Like people want to know more, but they also know that you're not the one to play with. And I wouldn't be surprised if like, if you have social media even, because some of you might not, you could be sort of off the grid in that way, but I wouldn't be surprised if all your social media accounts are private. And if you have those accounts, people could be making burner accounts to like try and follow you and understand more about your life, but you're always ahead. That's what I'm hearing. You're excellent at like pattern recognition. You understand where all the pieces fit before other people even realize the pieces are part of the same puzzle. That's something that I'm getting. And people are obsessed with your intuition, how you work things out and sense things before they even happen. Again, you put these pieces together and you arrange them before anyone else even understands what's going on. And what's interesting is people could underestimate you, pal, too, because maybe you're someone who, because you like your privacy, you respect other people's privacy, like you stay out of their business when you're not invited in, but somehow you still kind of know everything. You don't necessarily engage in like office politics as one example, but you understand everything going on and how it works. You truly do not miss a trick. You're very sharp-minded. You have a lot of attention to detail. Even if sometimes you look very dreamy or you look like you're in your own world, like you're 100 miles away, you're actually absorbing it all. And I think that's why often you have to be so protective with your energy. It's because you take on a lot subconsciously and things become obvious to you without you even trying to figure them out. And then it's like when things start lining up, you know exactly how it's going to go down, and people start revealing things to you and you find a way to know the gossip even though you don't engage in it. So people might ask you like, how did you know that? How did you know that was going to happen? And they become obsessed with how you figured it all out. But to you, it just comes naturally. The information just presents itself. You dig out what is hidden. People might not understand how two things correspond, how they relate. They're like, what does X have to do with Y? But you see how everything functions in sync, and people get obsessed with how you can predict behavior. You can predict what someone will say, what will happen in certain situations. And people are like, how did you know? It's like you're in people's psyches sometimes. Some of you could definitely be readers yourselves, highly psychic, highly knowing. But beyond just the intuition thing, people are obsessed with how you find creative solutions. It's like you come up with ideas nobody has thought of before. You have this very resourceful magician kind of energy, good at building, problem solving, creating new solutions out of existing ideas, transmuting the atmosphere through alchemy so the whole system works. People are obsessed with the way you can see things that they don't see, especially with problem solving. And I'm getting this specific message that people could be obsessed with you being good with your hands. So take that as it resonates, or being able to like put things together. That message is for somebody like you just have that vibe of competence that people get obsessed with. I'm also seeing that you have many talents. Obviously talents was coming through strongly, but there are things that you can just pick up on and learn very quickly. So this could be anything really, like learning a language or a technical skill. It's like any hobby you try your hand at, you're automatically good at it, and people obsess over that because they're like, how are you just good at everything? Like, have you done this before? Is this something you did in a past life? Because even when you try something for the first time, you become highly skilled, like you've been doing it your whole life. People could become obsessed with the fact that you're like this whole package. It's giving sort of God's favorite energy, you know, attractive and intelligent, but also practical and analytical, but also kind and composed. And it can make some people obsessed with like trying to find faults in you because they can't see any. Like everything you turn your hands to works. You find solutions to problems that don't even exist yet. You consider future things before they happen. Again, there's that theme of like, how did you know we'd need this? How did you know this would happen? So people become obsessed with having you on their team and recruiting you because you think of things other people don't. You anticipate what could come up. People feel like they can rely on you to know the answer and to have the solution. This can apply in work, in friendships, and relationships. You're the one who knows what people need, and they got obsessed with being around you because you always have something that they require, because you thought of things that they just didn't or couldn't. So maybe at work, people are always asking your opinion because they know you'll add something that elevates the project. Or friends always want to bring you on the road trip because you know what to bring and what people will need before they do. And it makes people fall in love with you a little bit sometimes. Or sometimes on that shadow side, this could be people becoming too reliant on your love. Like they get obsessed with how you nurture them because you always know what they need. And it can be in small ways, of course, like you just being able to sense your friend or partner had a bad day before they even say it. So you go up to them and you hug them and they're like, how did you know that I needed a hug really badly right now? And they feel so grateful that they could just fall into your arms. That's that softer side of it, and the side where it shows up in a really loving and positive way. But then there's the other side of that, where if someone starts like outsourcing everything to you and expecting you to read their mind, expecting you to always know what they need and then getting mad when you have other priorities, that's where it can get unhealthy. That's where you might have found some friendships or relationships have become like too intense or too obsessive. And I'm not saying that to worry you, it's just extra confirmation. If you've been in dynamics like this before, you will know if you have, because people can become dependent on your love and care, and then that entitlement kind of creeps in, like they want to claim you, or they get jealous or insecure when you have other friendships or relationships. It becomes this thing of like, no, pal 2 is mine, like I need them here. And that's when it becomes time to assert boundaries, because of course you need your own life, you need your own private space, your own sanctuary. It's not fair for one person to depend on you 100% of the time. And sometimes what I want to say, pal 2, is it's not even deliberate on their part. And I'm not saying that to absolve anyone of accountability here. It's still not fair on you if someone is doing that, and it's okay for you to address that with them. But it's like people fall into this so easily without realizing, because on their end, it's like they've never had someone pick up on their needs so easily. They've never felt so safe and so nurtured and so known inside and out. So it's like without even being conscious of it, it's like they create this different standard for you specifically, like, pal 2 is better at this, pal 2 understands me more. And at the time, that can feel like a compliment until it becomes this trap, it becomes this prison, because it's not fair if they're holding you to like supremely different standards where you are never allowed to make a mistake. Because it's like somebody could want your advice, and if you say like, you know, I can't drop everything right now, I'm sorry, I'm swamped, like, can you talk to Sandra about this? And they're like, yeah, but it's not the same with Sandra. Like, she doesn't understand me like you do. Your advice is much better than Sandra's. It's flattering, but also that's not fair. Like, it's not fair that Sandra gets to be mediocre and you get penalised for having that one day where you're swamped and you can't show up 110%. It's not fair if someone turns around and says like, you weren't there for me when you have been there many times. You just can't be everything all the time. It's like, because people value you so much, they sometimes expect you to be perfect all of the time, and that's not feasible, and it's not fair to be held to these different standards. So that's a boundary reminder. You know, people may want to claim you quickly, but you are not theirs. Like, you are your own person. And that could just be a reminder for somebody who needs to hear it, or somebody who has a tendency to feel bad about not being perfect all the time, when actually you've put a hell of a lot into your friendships and relationship, and people need to value it more rather than just taking it for granted. You will know if that applies for you. On another note, people could get very obsessed with your attention to detail. Maybe it's how you present yourself, how you put an outfit together. Maybe you wear things that always match. Maybe it's your work, your projects. People are in awe of the way every detail is always carefully considered. You do not do things halfway. There's always purpose and intention and structure behind what you do. It's that engineer energy again. And I'm getting that people are obsessed with this idea that a relationship with you is never something that can just be rushed. It has to be built. People have to build trust with you. They don't get to warm themselves by your fire if they haven't, I'm hearing tread carefully first. If they haven't treaded, should it be treaded? If they haven't treaded, I'm just seeing the phrase in my mind, tread carefully. Is that from, well, I'm thinking of the SZA song, tread carefully, but I'm also thinking of, is it a Breaking Bad quote? Does Walter say tread carefully? If they haven't treaded, I don't know, I'm getting confused. Sorry, I'm having really bad brain fog. My disability is flaring up today. Yeah, but anyway, if someone approaches you too abrasively, if they want to rush, if they're not willing to devote time and energy into this, you're not interested. You can detach quickly. Like, people have to show up properly with you. It's not just given to them on a platter. So people become obsessed with doing the work and uncovering the layers and earning that access. People are also obsessed because they feel like there's so much raw potential in you. Like, you always have more to give, But again, you don't just give to anybody and everybody. They have to earn their place. You have options, but you don't select every single option. There's this vibe of you belonging deeply to yourself that people just get obsessed with for some reason, because you get offers, you get invitations, you get options, but you don't accept everything for the sake of it. You don't do something just because it's something to do. You don't hang out with someone just because they're there. Everything with you has purpose. Everything is intentional. And that confuses people, especially people who constantly need stimulation or outside noise just to function. Like, if you don't want to go to the work party because you're not friends with people you work with and you don't want to spend time with them, some people obsess over that. They don't take no for an answer. They're like, would they rather be on their own than come to this fun party? And the answer is yes, because that's more fun than being at a party with people whose company you don't enjoy. You would rather be on your own than in company you don't enjoy, and that confuses people who don't like being alone or can't be alone. This could also apply if you've ever been someone who wants to stay single because your company is better than being in like a dead-end relationship. This could be people saying like, oh, you're so attractive, you're so kind, you're so smart, like, why are you still single? We could set you up with somebody. And you're like, no, I'm good. Like, you're waiting for something great. And if that is you, if that's the position you're in, then that is something divinely guided, and that is you showing that you belong deeply to yourself. But yeah, these people, just going back to that example of you not going to a party, they might be like, why do you never come to the party? Why do you keep to yourself? Why don't we know anything about you? And it's like, because you don't want them to know. That information is sacred. They haven't earned it. Sometimes the obsession is people pushing your boundaries, and other times it feels softer. It's just people being fascinated and wanting to work you out, and they're not necessarily doing that in an entitled way, but it's just something they maybe fantasize about secretly. And I'm getting this vibe of you like daydreaming a lot, being in your own little world. Maybe there's a very dreamy look in your eyes or a certain expression you do, and people stare at you like, you know, where does Pal 2 go when they daydream? People get obsessed with like, what is Pal 2 thinking about right now? It could be like when you zone out, sometimes you kind of, I don't want to say like mumble to yourself. I mean, some of you could do, or you could like get so lost in your imagination that sometimes you're smiling or laughing a little bit. And people are like, what are you thinking about? But you don't want to tell them. But yeah, I'm also getting like, if you decline an invite, you don't feel the need to over-explain. Someone could say to you, do you want to come for drinks after work? And instead of being like, oh no, because I have this and this and this to do, you're just like, no thanks, I'm busy. And then people obsess over like what you're busy with. They're like, busy doing what? But you don't give them any more information than what they need is something I'm getting. And yeah, with the Four of Cups, there can be this element of stoicism. Maybe for some of you, like resting bitch face, I'm not gonna lie. Like people, yeah, they genuinely can't tell what's going on under the surface. They know there's something, right? But they don't know what. So they're like, what is Pal 2 feeling right now? I can't tell. And that makes them obsess. Some people want to make you theirs. They're like, come out with us so I can make you part of my team. But again, you belong deeply to yourself. You're content alone. You have options. You're also good at lots of things, and you also don't have anything to prove. You don't need to belong to anyone else or belong to a team to feel confident. And for insecure people, that is an alien concept. They're like, why does Pal 2 not have anything to prove to us? Now, I don't know if this message will apply for everyone, but I'm getting, with the Eight of Cups, hate to see you leave but love to see you walk away. So somebody could have a very nice shape from behind. You could have a nice butt, hips, legs, thighs, something like that. And people are obsessed with how you look from behind, how you walk, how you move, how you sway. That's for somebody, and honestly, good for you if that is you. But I'm also getting people obsessed with, I'm hearing getting more time with you. This could be one specific person, Pal 2, or it could be more general. But people are asking, they're obsessing over, how do I get more time with Pal 2? Because you're somebody who, I want to say you never overstay your welcome and you have good boundaries. And like we said, you decline a lot of offers that you get. So it's hard enough to like get you out. But when someone finally gets you out, some of you, I'm getting you might leave the party early. So maybe you're like, you know, okay, I'll go for drinks, but I want to be in bed and have my skincare done by 10 p.m. And when it's time to leave, people are saying to you like, oh no, come on, like have one more drink. You only just got here, stay longer. And you're not afraid to suddenly like cut that cord and walk away. You're like, nope, gotta go. And you just like disappear into the night. And people are obsessed like, oh damn, I wanted more time with Pal 2. I wish they stayed out later. we never get to see them or something like that. Or you could meet someone and be having the best conversation and it feels intense and it feels like you guys are vibing, you're bantering, you're hyping each other up, you're going back and forth, and it feels deep, like, hey, we're building something here. And then suddenly you're like, oh, gotta go. It's giving like Cinderella at midnight is something I'm getting. Like, abruptly you disappear into the night and people are like, where did they go? And they get obsessed with chasing you down. Like, can I get your number? Will I ever see you again? So this could have happened, like you met someone through mutual friends or just randomly and you didn't exchange numbers, and afterwards they're desperate to hunt you down or find you again. And they're asking your friends like, who was that pal 2 person? Like, did I imagine them? Did I dream them up? And then because you're private, maybe they can't find you on social media, so they become obsessed with wanting more time and like continuing whatever that connection was. And I'm also getting a more specific message. If this is someone you walked away from, like someone specific, an ex or someone you were talking to, that person, pal 2, could be deeply obsessed with you because they are astonished that you just walked away, because they thought you guys were building something, they thought it was going well, and then you disappeared and they didn't expect that. But if you walked away, it was obviously with good reason. If that is for you, it's not going to be for everyone, but perhaps you sensed a pattern forming that wasn't right. You picked up on behavior you weren't comfortable with. You saw something and you were like, nah, like, I'm withdrawing this now. And now they can't get access to your energy and they're obsessed with getting more time with you because they feel like you withdrew. But I'm hearing that's the way the cookie crumbles. You turned the warmth back towards yourself. You moved on. You have other options. So you left that one in the dust. And they can't rely on you to build them up anymore because you chose yourself. So that is an extra message that's coming through. And that, pal 2, that's a huge part of why people get obsessed with your energy. It's the quiet mastery that you possess and the hidden depth. It's the mystery. It's the way you do things intentionally, the way you don't give access easily. You're exclusive, you're selective. But when you do, it feels sacred, it feels important. And people don't always realize that they're hooked until they already are, until it happens. Okay, pal 2, so that's what I'm getting for you, and that's where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. Thank you so much for being here and for spending your time with me. I genuinely appreciate it more than you could ever know. If anything in this reading resonated for you, please feel free to like, comment, hype, share, and subscribe if you are called to. That is truly the best way to support a small channel like mine, and it really helps me keep making content like this. If you feel comfortable, I'd love to hear more from you in the comments, even if it's just to let me know which pal you chose or to leave an emoji. It honestly just helps more than you know. And on a personal note, I truly do love hearing from you guys. Your comments mean a lot and they never ever go unnoticed. With that said, I'm sending you lots of love, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one, pal 2. Hi, pal 3 Collective. If you chose the Cosy Witch Tarot and you chose the star sticker and you chose pal 3, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled, Why People Get So Obsessed with Your Energy. What makes your vibe intoxicating and addictive? If you would like the full details on what this reading will cover, I recommend checking out my introduction. I do go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I would recommend checking at least one of those out so you know what to expect from this reading today. But just a little brief recap, this reading looks at why people become so drawn to you. What about your energy feels intoxicating and hard to resist? And why people can form strong attachments to you so quickly. So if you've ever felt like your energy has a bigger impact on people than what you expect and you've never quite known why, that is what we're exploring today. With that said, let's get started and have a look at the cards we pulled for you. Of course, we are using tarot cards and oracle cards today, as always. I'm just going to move your little star sticker to one side so we can focus on the cards in front of us. So starting over here on the left from the Archetypes Oracle, we have Teacher. Okay, so some of you could be teachers or teachers in training, or you could work with children or in education. You could be a professor. But light attributes, ability to communicate knowledge, experience, skill, or wisdom. Shadow attributes, manipulating or abusing students, teaching negative traits and destructive skills. And from the Wild Muse Oracle, we have got Jar of Dreams. Beautiful. From the Deep Dive Oracle, we have got Enclosed Haven. Create personal space physically and mentally for growth and well-being. Set boundaries. From the Pearls of Wisdom Oracle, we have got Self-Discovery. In opening ourselves up to new experiences, you may find unexpected joy, reminding us that life is full of surprises. And from the Audacity deck, we have got the Empress. Gorgeous. So let's have a look at your tarot cards to clarify this energy. We have got the Four of Pentacles. Treat yourself to something shiny every now and again. Clarifying Four of Pentacles, we have got the World. Yay, you did it. Now do something to celebrate a job well done. You could have accomplished something recently, pile 3, and maybe people are obsessed with this. You could have reached a certain goal. We have got the Ace of Swords. Look at you, you're bursting with sparkly new ideas. And clarifying the Ace of Swords, we have the Ten of Swords. Hurt people, and hurt witches, hurt witches. Interesting. We will dive into that. And we have got the Patient Witch, which I believe represents the Hanged Man. Learn to get comfortable with sitting still whenever necessary. And clarifying that, we have got the Two of Cups. Some people are like a pumpkin to your spice. I love this card, it's so cute. Just looking at this Empress card, right off the bat, some people could get obsessed with your boobs. Maybe you have a nice chest. Maybe you find that people cannot stop staring at that area, or they are very obsessed with it. Maybe people's eyes are drawn there. That's just a random confirmation for somebody, not for everyone. But okay, pile 3. Right off the bat, I am seeing that there is a little bit of overlap with pile 2's energy. So if you were also drawn to pile 2, or you couldn't decide between piles, you might want to check that out. You don't have to, of course, but there are definitely some similarities, especially around this idea of privacy and boundaries, and I will circle back to that as we go. But with you, there is definitely this vibe of partially being warm and open, but also being very intentional about which specific parts of you people get access to. But straight off the bat, let's talk about the teacher archetype. And for some of you, like I said, that could be literal, like you are teachers or you work in education, you lead courses, you train people, you mentor, you run workshops, and people are obsessed with the way you deliver a message. And if we are talking literal school teacher energy, you could genuinely be like the favorite teacher. That one teacher that just everybody loved, either because everyone has a crush on them or because they're like the young, cool teacher who actually knows how to talk to the kids like they're humans. So you could be, the hot teacher or the down-to-earth teacher, the funny teacher, where students are like, I am obsessed with their lessons. Like, I actually look forward to this class because they teach it. But even if that specific example, because I know that's very specific, doesn't apply at all if you don't work in education or anything like that, what I do want to say is it's very much the same vibe in terms of like people are obsessed with the way you share knowledge. Your aura reads very much like, I know what I'm talking about. Like, you have something important to say, and you carry yourself with this natural authority that people get obsessed with. And I'm actually hearing this phrase, like, people could listen to you talk all day. Like, there's something about your voice, your delivery, the way you communicate that is just absolutely captivating. And it's that classic teacher thing, like when the teacher is talking, the room goes quiet, people listen, all eyes are on them. That is how people see you. You have this presence when you enter a room, and it's like it goes silent and the focus shifts. And it's interesting because we didn't pull the star card in tarot, but obviously you were drawn to the star sticker. And with this teacher archetype, it's absolutely giving star quality presence, that person who can hold the room. It's like you naturally know how to capture attention without trying too hard. And I'm literally seeing somebody on a podium right now, like doing a TED talk or something. That is the vibe. Like, when you speak, people listen. The lesson you deliver is not one where people are zoning out, scrolling their phones, only half paying attention. It's something about how you present information where you make it interesting and engaging, and you make people feel included. Like, people feel seen when you talk. They feel like you're speaking to them personally rather than just at them. So this can show up in loads and loads of different ways. I'll give some examples. You could be a content creator. You could have your own channel. You could put your artwork out there. This could be singing or dancing or acting, producing or writing music. You could be speaking on something, advocacy, educating on something, giving your opinion about life, sharing advice with friends. You could literally just be doing a presentation at work, and people stop and listen because you know how to hook people in and keep them interested. I'm hearing the word marketable, but there's something about the way you use words and language that really lands. Like, even the way you tell a story, it just sticks. You could be an excellent storyteller. And this is where I'm getting a really specific example around teaching. Like, if we imagine a teacher trying to teach a lesson on a subject that teenagers usually think is kind of boring, If it's just the teacher droning on and not engaging with the class, then the kids are zoning out, nobody's really learning anything, everybody's fighting just to not fall asleep. But if the teacher can incorporate something the class actually cares about, suddenly everyone is locked in, suddenly it hits very, very differently. So the random specific example I'm getting is like if you're teaching a group of teenage girls about science and they're not paying attention because they're talking about what they're going to buy at Sephora this weekend and they're talking about skincare, maybe the teacher needs to make the chemistry lesson a deep dive into skincare or how certain ingredients or chemicals react with the skin, what ingredients do what. Now, obviously, I know that's kind of a silly example because I know teachers have lesson plans and requirements and it's not always that flexible. And also, yes, I am aware that was a very gender stereotypical example, but I am a woman who is interested in skincare, so I'm kind of using my own example. But the point is, the energy, like you know how to reach people, you know how to translate information into something that makes sense for them. And the gift you have at Pal 3 is you can do this with almost anyone. You can find a way to connect with almost anyone. I'm actually now also thinking of School of Rock with Jack Black. So I don't know if that film is a confirmation for anyone, but it's that kind of energy of like taking what people already care about and using it as a bridge. You don't force people to be interested, but you awaken interest. And it makes me think of how, I can't remember what the character was called, but Jack Black's character, the main character, sort of identified everybody's like potential and individual talents and how they all came together with that. There's something about that coming through strongly here. And I'm actually now also thinking about my own experiences with school. So when I was in school, I don't remember anything about my science lessons. I do want to mention that I was struggling with undiagnosed ADHD at the time, so I always zoned out. But with physics specifically, like I would just completely blank. And when we did like science tests, I remember if they were like multiple choice answers, I would do that thing where I would literally, because I would not have a clue, because I hadn't learned anything the whole term, I would just stare at the answers until one answer stood out more than the others, and I'd just be like, yeah, I'll just pick this one. This one must be right. I would literally just use my intuition instead of using my brain because I knew that I hadn't taken anything in. And in fairness, I usually passed those tests. Like, I usually got at least a C, so my intuition must not have been doing too badly, but I hadn't learned anything about actual physics. And for a long time, I thought that meant that I hated science. I thought that my brain just wasn't wired for it. And I'm not saying I'm great at it now, I'm definitely not. But now as an adult, I love learning about new scientific breakthroughs. I get obsessed reading about like quantum physics and the blend of science and spirituality. And I love learning about skincare too, and chemicals, because I genuinely think there will be a time when like spirituality and science merge more. But for me to be interested, I need that hook. I need a way to see it through a lens that my brain could process and digest. So now I'm like, oh, I wish I paid more attention in school, but I physically couldn't at the time because the information wasn't being delivered in a way that I could take in. And that's the point. It's not always about the content, it can be about the delivery, and it's the accessibility. It's whether the message relates to people. And you, Pal 3, I think you stand out and people get obsessed with you because you deliver messages in a way that sparks interest and curiosity. You make people want to learn. You make people want to understand. I'm also getting messages from the entertainment world. Like, you know, when you're watching a show and there's a monologue, the audience reaction depends on how well it's written and how well it's acted. Because sometimes you'll be watching something and you end up zoning out and scrolling and not really listening, but then you watch something else and the emotion the actor conveys or the tension or the intrigue, it just hits you right in the chest and you don't want to look away because you can't miss a second. That's your energy. You capture the layer of intrigue and you hold attention. So it could be the same with like short form content, you know, YouTube shorts, TikTok, Reels. Sometimes people click away because it didn't hook them and their attention span is short. Other times people might watch the whole thing and then go searching for more of that person's content because something they said or the way they delivered the message just hit home. And that's you. Like, you don't just capture the attention, you also hold and maintain it long enough for what you're saying to sink in. And people get obsessed because you're memorable. they leave a conversation with you and what you said is still kind of echoing around in their mind later. And honestly, people might even find it hot because there's something about the way you just speak with authority. You might not perceive yourself this way, but sometimes if you're like delivering a message, people could think that you come across as like a little bit strict or stern or bossy, but it's in a way that people are like, oh, like I like when Pal 3 tells me what to do. Like when you give an instruction, when you speak with certainty and confidence, it does something to people. It's like you walk into that role and it screams like, I know what I'm talking about and you're going to listen and you're going to do what I say, and people kind of like it. They get obsessed with that. I feel like people get obsessed with you because when you walk into a room, it sometimes feels like you're the only one in the room. You might notice you attract a lot of stares. Like you look up and people are always looking at you and you're like, hello, why are people staring? But that's the presence you have, that's the star quality. People notice you without you trying. And people could also become obsessed with you because they rely on you for answers. It's like they seek your authority and leadership. Even if you haven't put yourself in the leader role, it's kind of like, oh, Pal 3 will know what to do. That student asking the teacher energy. People always want your opinion and your input because it feels like a reputable source. It feels grounded and like there's wisdom behind it. So you could find that in public speaking spaces, people wait for your verdict before deciding on something. There could be a bit of dependency sometimes, like, oh, let's wait and see what Pal 3 says about this. And this can be literally anything. It could even be tarot. Like if you're a reader, people might seek your guidance specifically because they trust it. Like they've seen 1,000 other readers cover the same topic, but they're waiting for you to finally speak on it because they trust your delivery and insight specifically. But it doesn't even have to be a social media thing. It can be within your friendships. I'm even getting this group chat example. It's like you and your friends could all be watching Love is Blind and everyone is giving their input, but your friends are waiting for what you have to say. Like, did you see it, Pal 3? What did you think about this? And you might be like, oh, I've not watched it yet. And they're like, please watch it. We need your input on this. So they're demanding it from you. And it's not even because you're like right all of the time. It's always just because you're taking interesting and thoughtful. It's almost in this family dynamic way, like you have the ultimate authority. Almost like when kids say like, oh, let's see what mum or dad says before we do this. People wait for your feedback because your feedback carries weight. I'm also getting this thing where people get obsessed with you to the point where sometimes they unconsciously mirror you. They could copy you, imitate you, sometimes without even realize it. That could be in terms of your knowledge, your style, your appearance, your tone, your mannerisms, your body language. Like maybe you notice you change your hair and a week later somebody else changes theirs to the same color and style. You start doing something and suddenly it spreads like wildfire. People absorb you. And I'm not saying that in a scary way, but I do think this is where the teacher's shadow side comes in. Not because you're doing something wrong or negative, but it's because your impact is profound. And I'm hearing the phrase like, with great power comes great responsibility. You might have moments where you feel like, I have to act right because people are watching everything I do and learning from me. And that could be literal, like if you're a parent, for example. But I'm hearing this specific line from an Aaliyah song. I'm hearing, I gotta watch my back because I'm not just anybody from Are You That Somebody? And Pal 3, that's literally it. Like, you're not just anybody. There's something about you where your influence is huge. Even if you don't think of yourself as influential or as an influencer, people absorb you, people repeat what you say, people mirror what you do. Your energy teaches whether you mean it to or not. And sometimes it's like you feel that responsibility, like you're aware that your words carry more weight, your presence carries more weight, and that how you wield it matters essentially because, you know, with that teacher archetype, people can hand you authority over their inner world if they're not careful. And again, that's not you doing something wrong, it's just that your insight really lands with people and it sticks with people. But sometimes on the shadow side, it can turn into this weird sense of pressure because, and this is where I'm seeing a slight overlap with Pal 2, it can be like people idealizing you or putting you on a pedestal or treating you like you can do no wrong. And that can be an impossible standard to live up to. And I'm thinking specifically of messages around cancel culture and how it works differently for some people versus others and how unfair that can be sometimes. Because there are people in public spaces who do bad things again and again and again, and they never really get cancelled for it in a significant way. And I think it's partially because people come to expect it from them, but they're still successful, they're still making money. But then there are other people who are like idealized or seen as like a moral good example. And then if someone finds one tweet they made 15 years ago, suddenly it's like this massive scandal and the consequences become way bigger for that person than the person who does harmful things constantly, who faces little repercussions. And I think it's because when people perceive someone as like good and something contradicts that, they feel betrayed. But that problem is with black and white thinking. Like, people aren't all good or all bad. And for some reason, I'm thinking of Jenna Marbles right now, so I don't know whether Jenna Marbles' content is a confirmation for anyone, but I grew up watching Jenna Marbles, and yes, she'd been online a long time, and it does seem like she was ready to kind of step away anyway. And I genuinely hope she's thriving and she's happy. But I think I'm getting that as an example because I'm sure a lot of people would rather have Jenna back than some of the people who still have like huge platforms now, you know? And it just speaks to this idea of like, idealized people often didn't ask to be idealized, they didn't claim to be perfect, but it's like they get punished harder when they mess up. And I feel like sometimes you bear the weight of that pressure too. Like, you feel like you can't mess up. Maybe some perfectionism comes in because you've been made to feel like you have to show up perfectly. But I'm also getting it in this kind of funny way. Like, people see you as a role model, so they copy everything you do. So when I was looking at like teaching negative traits, this could be something as simple as like you accidentally swearing in front of your kid or your niece or your nephew, and then they start repeating it and you get in trouble with your sibling, let's say if this is your niece or nephew, because you taught their kid a bad word and your nephew or niece is copying you because they see you as cool, like you're a cool older auntie or uncle. They want to be just like you, they admire you, they want to learn your ways and integrate it. And people could mirror you in more subtle ways too. They could quote you without realizing. Like, you speak on a topic, you list some stats, you explain something really clearly, and then later that person is in a conversation and they repeat your exact points like it's become their own knowledge. They're not doing this in like a malicious way to steal your ideas, but it's because you presented this in a digestible way and it really stuck with them. And that's that power of a good teacher. And this is where I'm kind of thinking like that kind of power and influence can be used for great good or great evil. Because if you're speaking on things that matter, you can genuinely have the power to change people, pal 3. You can change communities with the way you get people obsessed with you and your message. You can shift the culture. But obviously, you know, the destructive side of that is people using their influence to teach harmful ideologies. For instance, like alpha male podcasts teaching young men to hate women and pushing incel culture and all of that. So we need people like you using your words of wisdom and teaching things in a good way, in whatever way that is for you, because your voice lands with people, it sticks with them. Now I want to move on to that Jar of Dreams card, because people could also get obsessed with you, pal 3. I'm hearing because you are tangible proof that dreams can come true. I feel like you guys have, or you're going to have, if this hasn't happened yet, a profound success story, like maybe a rags to riches story, starting from the bottom and reaching the top, starting as the learner and becoming the teacher, completing a cycle that has people around you in absolute awe. And people get obsessed with the how. They could ask you that a lot. How did you do it? There's something about people obsessing over you having a dream life or being in the process of building one. For some of you, it's current, for some of you, it's future, but some of you could, like, if you're in the process of manifesting this and working on it, it could be like you look like you're living your dream life now because that's the life you want to align with. But there's this energy of you having everything you need or being on track to receive it. You're going to be secure and comfortable materially and emotionally, and people are going to be obsessed with your story and what it took to get from A to B. But the thing is, I also feel like you have to be kind of cautious about how much you share, because people can become obsessed with your methods. And if something doesn't work for them the same way it worked for you, sometimes they can get kind of weird about it. Like, they blame you or they accuse you of gatekeeping some secret insider knowledge. And you're kind of like, no, like, I'm not gatekeeping. It's just that what works for one person might not work for another, and people, of course, have to do their own work too. And of course, this can apply to absolutely anything, but I'm getting a random example right now. Let's say this is about growing your hair. Like, let's say you had short hair for ages and you managed to grow it down to your waist and it looks beautiful and healthy. And people are like, oh my God, girl, like, how did you grow your hair? What's your routine? Share your secrets. And you're like, well, this is what I've been doing. This is what works for me. I used to not be able to grow it past a certain length and now it's growing. And for me, I think it's down to these products or these supplements or something like that. So someone buys the product you use and it doesn't work the same for them. And then they get angry at you, like, why did you try and sell me this good product? you're just a shill for this product, it didn't work, you must be doing something else. And it's like, you never promised it would work for them. They asked what you did and you answered. But now you're being held accountable for their hair growth. And if it doesn't work, suddenly they're like, oh, you must be hiding something. What did you really do? Like, you're gatekeeping. That kind of thing can make you cautious about sharing at all, because people want you to be the solution to their life instead of taking ownership. And obviously it doesn't have to be that example for you, that's just a random example, but it can happen with so many things. People obsess over how you did it. That is the main message I'm getting. They obsess over how you afford things. Like, maybe you're always very well dressed and put together, and they're like, where does Pal 3 get all these nice clothes? How do they afford it? Or maybe you save up for a nice house or a nice car, and they're like, how did you do that? How much did you save? How did you manage to do that? Or it could be with weight loss. Was it diet and exercise? Was it Ozempic? What did you do? Why is it not working for me? People get obsessed and start inventing theories because they want a quick explanation. And for you, Pal 3, you're not being secretive. You just understand that there's nuance here. You know, you understand that different people have different bodies, different genetics, different water quality, different environments, different time frames. So you don't claim to have all the answers, but people treat you sometimes like you do. And even when you're honest, they're like, come on, there must be more to it. And sometimes there isn't. And if it's success in business or content creation, as another example, maybe you go from no followers to going viral, and people are like, what did you really do to get those followers? What are your secrets? Like, did you pay for them? They want a formula. But the thing is, that's the point. Even if you share what worked for you, it might not work the same for them because they have their own trajectory. But when they can't replicate your results, they assume that you're hiding something, and then they obsess over what that could be. And I'm seeing like two specific groups of people here. One group of people, one type, they get weird and they get entitled and they blame you. But the other type, I'm seeing they genuinely admire you. They obsess over your story because they find it inspiring. Like, you are proof that people can make their dreams happen. So if you share like, oh, this is how I got from X to Y, people find that motivating. They feel like things have fallen into place for you, but they also sense that you've worked hard behind the scenes, physical work, internal work, both, a little bit of everything. But sometimes the obsession is literally just people not quite understanding your discipline. Like, if you've been saving steadily for something over months and someone else is on the same wage as you, but they spend all their money as soon as they get paid, they're like, how do they have all this and I don't? And they invent conspiracies like you got this secret promotion when really you've just done the work and they haven't. And if you're private, some people get jaded when you don't tell them everything. Like, if you're private about your relationship or your fitness goals and you just mind your business, people might find out later and they're like, why didn't you tell me? Like, this could be someone assuming you're single and then you bring your partner to the work party and suddenly they're obsessed and saying like, oh, you didn't tell me you were married. Or, you know, you lose weight quietly over time and then you meet up with a friend you haven't seen in a while and they're obsessed with your body. Like, how did you do it? They keep bringing it up, but they didn't ask before and you weren't hiding. You just weren't making announcements in the office canteen like, hey everyone, here's how I lost the weight. Like, you shared when you were asked, but otherwise you mind your business. And this is where the enclosed haven card comes in. You guys definitely have boundaries. There are things you're like, no, this is for me only, or, you know, I'm not getting into that with you. And yes, people can become obsessed with prying, with wanting the details, wanting the tea, but you're not easily pulled into that. You're truthful when you have to be, but you're also not afraid to be assertive and say like, we're not discussing that. And I'm thinking of how, like, you know, a teacher has to have boundaries with students, especially, you know, the kind of teacher who is kind of seen as like the cool, young and hot teacher or something like that. You know, students can kind of see that teacher as a friend or a peer instead of an authority. So it's important that that person maintains that authority. Students could be asking like, oh, like, Miss Sarah, are you married? Like, are you in a relationship or something? And students don't need to know that. And the teacher knows like it's inappropriate for the student to be asking that. Like, they shouldn't be sharing things about their personal life, something like that. So it's important to have those boundaries. But that is part of what people obsess over. Like, you guys are honest, but you also know when enough is enough. You guys are compassionate, but you're not someone who gets walked all over. You let someone know if they've pushed things too far, and the way you deliver truth feels very relatable and authentic and raw. Again, people feel seen and understood, and they feel like you can cut through the noise to the truth and the heart of the matter. And they're fascinated by your personal clarity and the way you discovered your own truth, especially if you share pieces of your story and what you learned, what you took from your own experience. It feels like you've earned that knowledge. You're not just talking for the sake of talking, you've lived it, and people can really feel that. And with that Ace of Swords and the Ten of Swords, it's definitely giving like the end of something painful and the start of something new. So if people know that you've been through something hard and you have this kind of rags to riches story, or you've been through a breakup or divorce or a health journey, or, you know, a low point leading to a glow up, people obsess over that comeback. They want to know how you came back from the brink, how you started again, how you're doing better now than you were before. And especially if you keep parts of that private, people want the ins and outs. Like if you went through a messy divorce as just one example, but you don't share the details, you don't talk about the collapse of that, people obsess. They want the tea, but it's like you focus on what matters. You're like, this is what I know now, and this is who I am going forward. And that sharp focus is part of the obsession too. It's like people are amazed that you can cut away what doesn't matter and move forward with clarity. And with the patient witch, that Hanged Man energy, that's also important here, because it's like you understand timing, you understand the need for stillness, and you understand that not everything needs your immediate reaction. And I think that pairs beautifully with the Two of Cups, because when you connect with somebody, it is real. Again, some people are like the pumpkin to your spice. It's very mutual and it's calm and it's aligned. And because you make people feel so at home, I feel like people latch onto you really, really fast. And this is where you might notice people get clingy or possessive in friendships or relationships. It's like you could make a new friend, or you could hang out with somebody else and your other friend gets jealous. Like, no, pal 3 is mine. Because you make these deep spiritual connections. People always feel like they found a kindred spirit or like soul fam in you. So it's almost like people can get weirdly competitive for your attention or your approval. Like they bring you up in conversation almost as though you're a trophy. If someone says like, oh, I love pal 3, someone else is like, well, I knew them first. I know them more than you. It's kind of giving like gatekeeping your energy. People get obsessive in that way. Like, I want it all to myself. That is how certain people feel. This could even be at work, for example. Like, let's say you give a presentation and someone from another department is like, who is that? I love their energy. We need someone like that on our team. Like, they're trying to headhunt you. Your boss could shut that down. Like, no, you're not having them. They're ours. Like, people definitely latch onto you in that way. And I also feel like people become comfortable with you straight away as well. You make them feel like they can ask you anything or open up about anything, and you never make them feel stupid. Like, you're a good teacher. You know, if a student doesn't understand fractions, and they're like, I'm sorry, miss, or sir, I don't understand these fractions. A good teacher doesn't shame them. A good teacher meets them where they are and breaks it down. And that's you, or that's how you show up in life with your energy. So people wait for you specifically. Like at work, for example, if you're mentoring someone, there are other people they could ask, but they're like, no, I'll wait for pal 3 because pal 3 won't make me feel embarrassed. So if you're off sick, people are like, where are they? When are they back? I need to ask them something. That's the vibe. People get attached to this safe haven that you create. Now with that Empress, this definitely gives me Libra, Taurus, Venusian goddess energy. Soft, welcoming, abundant. People feel safe around you, pal 3. They feel secure and held. And once you hold them, they don't want to let go. That's the obsession. People could spend one night or one day with you and they feel like they could stay forever in your energy. There's something really inviting about your energy, really welcoming, and there's vulnerability in it, but it feels mutual. So yeah, people feel like they can tell you anything. People obsess over how patient and understanding you are. They feel comforted and healed by your very presence. Often people come away from time with you feeling very nurtured and nourished, like they've just eaten a really satisfying meal. And they're like, oh, I wish I could do that all over again. I wish I could enjoy it all over again. People want more time with you. And you might actually need more time alone than other people. So it's like you could hang out with someone and the next day they're already texting you wanting to hang out again. And you're kind of like, I love you, but I need my space. I need my downtime. And sometimes people could be disappointed by that. But like they really just want more of you, pal 3. And sometimes it's more than you can realistically give. And this could be kind of like why you keep some things to yourself and don't always say too much, because somebody could be like, what are you doing today? And you want some time alone, so you're like, oh, I'm just doing some errands. And that person is like, oh, well, I need to do errands too. Can I come? And you might have to be like, oh, these are errands I want to do alone. And it's not because you don't like that person, but because your sacred space matters. Or, you know, maybe it's like you going to get your hair done and your friend wants hair like yours, but they also want to come to your appointment with you because they need your advice on something. And they're like, oh, I'll get my hair done at the same time, at the same place as you. I want my hair the exact same way. But maybe your hair appointments are like your sacred quiet time where you just like to be by yourself. Obviously, it doesn't have to be that example, but it's something like that. You want to enjoy the moment and you're entitled to that. But people just want to be around you all the time because it makes them feel very good. And this could even be like in a romantic sense, you know, one date with you and suddenly people are falling head over heels. They're like, I haven't had a date or a connection like that in so long. We just get on like a house on fire. But what people don't always realize, pal 3, is like, you kind of have this way of making everyone feel like that. Like you make people feel special and understood wherever you go. And it doesn't mean the connection isn't real or you're being disingenuous. But I think sometimes because people haven't always experienced that before, people might read more into it than you do. It's more special and rare for them to feel that safe and understood. Whereas for you, it might be like a regular Tuesday, you know, and they never forget it. I'm getting that people get obsessed with the way you look into their eyes and you really, really see them. And the Empress can show up physically too. I think we mentioned boobs at the beginning of the reading, because of course we did. People could be obsessed with your body, your curves, or specific features. Maybe you have really nice lips and they're the kind of lips that you have like naturally, but people, well, you don't have to have them naturally. Like maybe you do have fillers and that's fine, but whatever, whether your lips are natural or you have filled lips, people are like, I want my lips exactly like this. Or somebody is doing your makeup and they're like, oh my God, your lips are like the perfect shape that people aspire to, or something like that. Or it could be they touch your skin and there's something about it is baby soft. They're like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with your skin. What lotion do you use? Why is your skin so soft? Your voice could be soothing. Your scent could be delicious. Maybe people stop you on the street and they're like, what perfume, what cologne, what body spray is that? Please tell me because I'm obsessed. There's something about people being obsessed with the sensual experience of you. The Empress can also relate to fertility. So yes, for some of you, it could be literal. Like people are obsessed and they want to have your babies. They want to wipe you up, husband you up, lock you down. Or it could just be fertility in the sense of ideas. Like people are obsessed with the way you're always full of creative ideas and perspectives and new ways of seeing things. You always have something new to offer. And I'm getting something a little bit spicier too. People could be obsessed with worshipping you. I'm hearing submitting to you. I'm hearing surrendering to you in some way. Like you have the kind of beauty where people are like, I want to give you everything. Like if you asked for someone's shirt off their back, they'd be like, yes, miss. Please take it. It's almost like you're this divine being. I'm hearing phrases like, I would worship the ground you walk on. And I'm also hearing that phrase, people would go to war for you. Like it's that level of devotion that people feel just to win your affection or just to look into your eyes. And again, I feel like it comes back to this thing of like, people are obsessed with the way you make them feel special. I feel like you can recognize other people's potential. You make them feel unique and safe. You offer them sanctuary. Even your home could feel like that, pal 3. It could feel very comforting or welcoming. Like people could come to your place and they end up wanting to stay over or nap or just rest. They feel like they can exhale. If you invite someone into your bed with you, the next day they could be like, oh, I don't want to leave. Like I could just stay here with you all day. And you're like, okay, but I need my alone time now. So you're going to go. Take that however it applies. But the point is, people could want to spend all their time with you very easily. And you might have to kind of let people down gently a lot is something I'm getting, because the way you reel people in, pal 3, it needs to be studied, because it's this fascinating mix of authority with vulnerability. People fall head over heels and they don't always know whether they want to protect you or follow you. It's like you put different people into different roles. Sometimes it's like they want to keep you safe and protect you from the world and stick up for you. And sometimes they're kind of like, you're mummy and I'm the little kid and you know everything and you could just teach me everything. It's a really interesting dichotomy. I'm also getting that you can attract people of different ages. Younger people could be obsessed with you, but so could older people. Older people might want to kind of protect you, whereas younger people kind of see you as like mommy or daddy. You could be kind of ageless too. Like, people can't work out what age you are, or you look younger, but it's like you also have this wise, self-assured, authoritative energy that people get obsessed with. I'm hearing like soft and supple, but also commanding, and people obsess over that combination. People get obsessed with you because they just click with you instantly. One conversation with you and they're like, yep, this person is my cup of tea. I'm hearing this person is a little bit of me. They hear you speak once and they want to follow you. They want to come along for the ride. They're like, this person just gets me. Like, they're cool and they're pretty and they're interesting. I want to give them the world, but also I want them to let me in their world. I want them to give me the world as well. And that's your Empress aura. People want to give to you, spend on you, share with you, but they also feel like you have so much to give. Wisdom and guidance and stability and abundance. People feel like you're going to be a success wherever you go, so they got obsessed with that. People could also become obsessed with caring for you too, like asking you, did you eat today? Are you hydrated? Do you want me to get this for you? People kind of running around after you like you're a goddess or god. And sometimes it can get intense. Like, if you're not responding, you could have people calling you like, are you okay? You didn't answer my text. You could attract dynamics sometimes where you're like seen as the mother, but people also become obsessed with mothering you. Sometimes it could be smothering. Not always, but you will know if that's for you. But yeah, that's what I'm getting for you, pal 3. You're like this sanctuary, teacher, star, empress with a jar full of dreams. And it's a really beautiful energy, and no wonder people get obsessed with you. Okay, pal 3, so that is what I'm getting for your reading, and that's where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. Thank you so much for being here and for spending your time with me. I genuinely appreciate it more than you know. If anything in this reading resonated for you, even just a tiny little thing, please feel free to like, comment, hype, share, and sub if you are called to. That is truly the best way to support a small channel like mine, and it really helps me keep making content like this. If you feel comfortable, I'd also love to hear from you in the comments, even if it's just to let me know which pal you chose or to leave an emoji. That honestly helps me more than you know. And on a personal note, I really do love hearing from you guys. Your comments mean a lot and they never go unnoticed. With that said, I'm sending you lots and lots of love. Take care of yourselves and I'll see you in the next one, pal 3. Hi Powerful Collective, if you chose the Weird Cat Tarot and you chose the Cloud sticker and you chose Pal 4, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled, Why People Get So Obsessed with Your Energy, What Makes Your Vibe Intoxicating and Addictive. If you would like a full overview of what this reading will entail, I would recommend checking out my introduction. I do go through absolutely everything in detail there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference, just so you know what to expect from this reading today. I would recommend checking at least one of those out. But just a very brief recap, this reading is exploring why people tend to get obsessed with you. What about your energy feels so addictive, and why people can struggle to detach from your presence once they've experienced it. So if you've ever noticed people getting unusually fixated on you or your vibe, and you've never really known why, that's what we're unpacking here today. With that said, let's get right on into it. I'm just going to move your little cloud to one side for now so we can focus on the cards. As usual, we're using a mix of oracle cards and tarot cards today. So let's have a look at what we've pulled for you, pal 4. So from the Archetypes Oracle, we have got Thief, Light Attribute, sheds light on the potential wealth within you that can never be stolen. Shadow Attribute, stealing money, creative ideas, affection, or other powers you think you lack. Maybe you're stealing some hearts, pal 4. Maybe that's what this card is about. Especially because he has the little heart in his jacket. That is very cute, very matchy-matchy. It matches his tie. Maybe you're very well dressed. Maybe people are obsessed because you're always looking suave in your outfits, pal 4. Maybe you find that people tend to steal a lot of your creative ideas. We will get into that. From the Wild Muse Oracle, we have got Gentleness, very sweet. And from the Deep Dive Oracle, we have got Resilient Beauty. Life is more than just surviving, it's finding ways to thrive in adversity, slowly unfolding. So you guys could be very, very resilient, or you've had to be in this lifetime. Maybe people obsess over just how resilient you are. From the Pearls of Wisdom Oracle, we have got Inspiration. Seek the divine spark that ignites your passion and purpose, leading you towards a path of inspiration and illumination. So people could obsess over you because you inspire them everywhere you go, powerful. And from the Audacity deck, we have the Two of D's. So the Two of D's nuts with the little squirrels. So yeah, I feel like you guys definitely have a sense of humour that people could be obsessed with. Let's have a look at your tarot cards. So we have got the Knight of Swords, and clarifying the Knight of Swords, we have got the Sun, beautiful. And we have got the Six of Swords with the Eight of Cups, clarifying that. Okay, that's interesting. And we've got the Page of Pentacles, and clarifying the Page of Pentacles, we have the Ten of Pentacles. Oh, some gorgeous energy showing up for you, Pal 4. Okay, Pal 4. So people get obsessed with your energy because they perceive you as having something they want, and it genuinely spins them out a lot of the time. It's like they're obsessing over how you have it, why you have it, and also why it seems from their perspective to come to you effortlessly. And essentially like why sometimes they're trying so hard, but they can't access the same thing. And for some of you, like we said, you know, it's given you steal the hearts of many people. Like, you don't even have to try, you just exist. And people are kind of like, well, that's rude of you, Pal 4, to be that magnetic while doing absolutely nothing. But what they're not realizing when they get into this kind of obsessive spiral is that what they're seeing is literally a product of your personal power. It's the love energy that you guys exist in naturally. It's, yes, it is abundance and it is alignment, but it's also not something that you can trade or buy or borrow or steal. It's an inner frequency. That's what we talk about when we talk about personal power. It doesn't matter what's going on the outside, you always have this. And when people are, I guess, stuck in lack, or when they're not connected to their own personal power, it's way easier for them to sort of play that game of competition and convince themselves that you took something from them. When you didn't, it's always been yours. And I know that can be kind of heavy, Pal 4. And again, this reading today isn't to make you paranoid or anything like that. This is just one part of the energy, and you will know if that's something you experience. It's more here to validate you, not to predict anything like this. So if this isn't resonating with you, you know, maybe it's not your pile. But I do get the sense that you've dealt with some kind of bullshit assumptions from people, assumptions you didn't deserve, weird energy that you didn't ask for. And it does feel like obsession sometimes comes through as hater energy, jealousy, competitiveness, trying to get a rise out of you seemingly for no reason. So I do want to acknowledge that, because it's not easy being on the receiving end of that kind of projection when you're literally just trying to mind your own business. But I also want to be very, very clear here, if you guys have ever experienced that, you are protected. Even if there's any kind of evil, i.e. energy floating around, you guys are so divinely protected. It can't even reach you. Like, it's not, I'm getting it's not penetrating your auric field. It's not touching you. It genuinely feels like you're so far above it. Like, you're in the clouds because you picked the cloud sticker. You're floating away in your own little world. It's not getting near you. Like, you've got bigger things going on. And this isn't me, again, like, trying to make you paranoid and trying to say that you have this whole, like, army of haters. This could be just one person who you notice is difficult, whilst everyone else around you genuinely loves you and supports you. But for those of you who have experienced, like, jealousy or weird envy-based unkindness, I just want it to feel very validating to you, and I want you to know that you weren't doing anything wrong. Because the vibe I'm getting here is, like, people can obsess over you through this lens of, like, why them and why not me? And that energy can show up as, you know, those competitive frenemy kinds of dynamics, school or workplace bullying, one-upmanship, put-downs, criticism, like an inability for people to just let you enjoy something without kind of trying to swoop in to knock you down a peg. But the crazy part is for you, Pal 4, it's not like you're even walking around thinking you're better than anyone. You have been kind and you've been humble. Some of you may have even dimmed yourselves at times to make other people feel comfortable. But regardless, you cannot stop your light and your personal power shining through. Like, your light still triggers people because it's not really about you. It's about what your light reflects back to them. And this is where I think the thief archetype is so interesting, because it's not like you're actually taking anything. It's more like your energy sheds light on the kind of wealth that can never be stolen. And that's your intuition, it's your creativity, your resilience, your inner beauty. It's that true soul light. But people who perhaps are less connected to their own inner wealth don't understand that. So they assume you must have taken it from somewhere outside of yourself. They assume there's a trick. there's some insider info, like secret source, something you've been manipulating, something unfair. And really that secret source is just you. It's just you existing as you are. Meanwhile, they have their own secret sauce. They just can't be bothered gathering ingredients to make the recipe. So whatever it is they're obsessing over, and it can really be anything. It can be your appearance, your charm, your relationships, what you own, your career success, your ideas, your confidence, your audience, your sales, the people you attract, the opportunities that open up for you. Whatever it is, they feel insecure next to you because you seem like you have so much of something they feel they can't compete with. But the thing is, you weren't even in the competition, pal, for, because it's not even on your radar. And I'm getting a really specific example of how this kind of thing plays out, like the attitude you sometimes get from people. It's like someone will accuse you of stealing something when what they actually mean is, I can't find it within myself. And the example I'm getting is someone accusing you of stealing their car keys, and they are adamant you moved them, you hid them, you took them, you're lying, and they're furious. And the entire time, their keys are in their jeans pocket. They just didn't bother to look. Like, they jumped straight to blaming you. That's the energy. You're getting blamed for someone else's lack of self-awareness. And it can show up in a material, superficial way too. Like, some of you have genuinely felt that you've been picked on for being attractive. And yeah, you know, maybe some of you do fit societal standards, but I don't even think that's the main focus of why you're beautiful. This is beauty that shines through because your soul is beautiful. It radiates outwards, like the outside starts to match the inside. Even if you don't feel that way about yourself, people are so effortlessly drawn to you because the light of your soul is glowing through your face and your eyes and your general overall presence. It's palpable. But people stuck in comparison might only view you through a more shallow lens. So you might get a compliment like, oh, Pal 4, you're really pretty. And someone else is like, Pal 4 isn't even that pretty. And then they're obsessing over your photos, zooming in, comparing details, getting like, I want to say weirdly forensic about it. Like, they're looking at details of your face like, you know, I have a smaller nose than Pal 4, or I have a better body than Pal 4, but why does Pal 4 get attention and I don't? Why does everyone have a crush on Pal 4? Like, when actually I'm better. They're not, by the way, but I'm just explaining the thought process. And it's like, respectfully to this person, well, disrespectfully because they're being kind of disrespectful towards your energy, but their soul is showing up as ugly. That's why the desperation for outside approval is off-putting. People can feel it. Whereas you're not trying to be chosen by strangers for ego boosts. You are just existing. And the thing is as well, what people don't actually give you credit for is that your effortlessness isn't actually effortless. It takes grit, it takes strength, it takes endurance. We see that with resilient beauty. It takes a whole lot of compassion to still show up as you do in this loving and kind energy in a world that has sometimes tested you, because you guys have had to be resilient. You've refused to let life make you bitter about it though. You've refused to let your wounds define you. You know what it's like to be hurt, but you didn't let it turn you into someone you don't recognize. And that's why people get obsessed, because some people are still kind of using their wound as a shield, like an identity, because it's easier than choosing something different. And on a subconscious level, on some deep, maybe buried level, these people know that they are loved too. They know that they're light too, but it feels very far away. It feels difficult to access. So it's like they're kind of saying, well, if I can't come into the light with Pal 4, I'm going to try and pull them into the dark with me. But you won't go. Like, nobody can take your spark. It can't be stolen. But people get obsessed sometimes with trying because it would make them feel better about their own void that they are refusing to face. I am definitely getting this vibe of people taking your success personally. Like, you get praised and somebody acts like that praise is a direct attack on them. And for some reason, oh, maybe it's because you picked Cloud, because I was thinking of the perfume Cloud by Ariana Grande. You could have that perfume, or Ariana's music could be relevant. But anyway, I was thinking of that Ariana Grande and Victoria Justice clip where, I don't know, I think somebody is complimenting Ariana's voice, her singing, and Victoria says, we can all sing. Like, okay, nobody said you couldn't. But some people struggle to just let you receive praise without kind of inserting themselves and reminding people, well, I'm good too, sort of thing. It's this weird, like, how dare you be appreciated when I also exist energy. Like, sometimes people struggle to let you have your moment. And I'm also getting as well, this keeps popping into my head. I have to say it because it was popping into my head from the time that I pulled the Thief card. But I'm thinking of that Oblivion NPC video, the one with the old woman with the walking stick, and she's walking up to like the postman or something and going, "You're a criminal, you're a thief," and the guy is just like, "What?" That is genuinely how some of these projections look from the outside, and I feel like your response is more often than not just confusion, like, what is the problem here? Because you are not operating from that jealous lens, so it feels very irrational and bizarre to you. And what I love about you, Pal 4, actually, and I think what other people obsess over, is like you barely even react. You've got inspiration, you've got things that set your soul on fire, you've got your own purpose, you truly, truly haven't got time for this boring, jealous, nonsense bullshit. You're like, you know, I'm just busy being in alignment, sorry. And that's why people can't get a rise out of you easily. They want you to scramble, they want you to try and prove yourself, and you're like, nah. Now, I also do want to say this isn't the only obsessive energy here, because yes, the thief card makes that shadow unavoidable. We had to talk about that, and I did want to validate it for those of you where that applies. But there is also a ton of like more beautiful obsession energy here too. It's the kind where people are obsessed because they genuinely adore you so very much, Pal 4. And these people, they understand that there's enough love to go around. They know that you getting praise does not steal anything from them. They see you shining and it inspires them rather than threatening them. So on the more lighter side, I'm seeing people absolutely screaming your praises from the rooftops. So when you post a picture looking cute in a cute outfit, people are obsessed. They're like, this is everything. The style, the hair, the makeup, I am literally in love. Or, you know, if you create things, art, writing, music, fashion, content, anything, people are obsessed because it feels original. Like nobody is doing it like you. It feels source-led, it feels inspired. I'm getting strong sacral chakra energy, Leo energy, 5th house energy. It's creativity that pours through you very naturally, and people want more of it in their life. And I feel like your friends, your loved ones, some of these people are extra obsessed in the best way, because I'm getting this very specific vibe of people hyping you up really, really hard. Like if you were to get a mild compliment, if someone says like, "Oh yeah, Pal 4 is pretty cute," or something like that, I can imagine your friends being immediately like, "They're not just cute, they're incredible." I'm actually seeing that Lady Gaga clip where she's like, "Beautiful, incredible, talented, show-stopping, amazing, never been done before." That is absolutely the energy around you. And it's people who love you, but I also think it's like spirit, because spirit loves you and that's how they see you. They're like, you're doing something different. You are truly like, I'm obsessed kind of thing. People don't just like you, they defend you. They feel compelled to like list all your good qualities, almost like it's their civic duty to be like, no, this person is amazing. So people could be obsessed with you in a kind of protective way. Like, no, actually, you're not going to downplay this powerful person because you don't understand what you're talking about. Like, they're amazing. You need to give them their props. And it's because people can feel how precious your light is. They know there are people out there who would love to steal it if they could, even though they can't. And so they become very vocal about making sure that you're seen and you're valued and you're appreciated properly. And then we also have this humor element to everything with the 2 of these nuts. Because you guys have such a specific kind of charm about your energy. People, I get the impression they're obsessed with your sense of humor because it's kind of unexpected. Like you could be very gentle and sweet, and then out of nowhere, you could say something really blunt or out of pocket and it has people in hysterics. I'm getting someone with a quick wit and fast comebacks, intelligent roasts, but there's never any malice with it. Like you can roast someone in a way that puts them in their place, but it's funny, it's not cruel for the sake of being cruel. It's like people are obsessed with you because you don't take life or yourself too seriously. You've been through too much shit to really take life seriously anymore. It's something I'm getting, Pal 4. You can take a joke. You don't get offended easily. Even though people try to wind you up sometimes, you'll literally take someone's little jab and flip it into a joke, either at your own expense just to keep the mood light, and it makes it very clear it doesn't bother you what they think because you are very self-accepting. So it could be a bit self-deprecating, but in a very funny way, and it just makes them look stupid. And people are obsessed with how confident that is, like how much self-awareness you have. But I think people know as well, and they are obsessed with the fact that you could cut deep if you wanted to. Like you could ruin someone's entire life with a sentence if you really wanted to, but you don't because you choose kindness, or at the very least you choose humor. You're like, I'm not letting you drag me into your darkness, but I might kind of clown you a little bit on the way out. That's what it feels like to me. And I don't know why, but I'm also getting delightful Derek from Stranger Things. I don't know if you've watched the latest season. But that vibe of like Some of his lines were just so funny, the ridiculous kind of blunt humour, and how he always says like, suck my fat one. I don't know why that's coming through, but it's the same energy as this card to me. Like, people are obsessed because you're funny in a way that catches them off guard, and you're not like trying to perform, it just comes out. And what makes it even more magnetic is that gentleness card. People are obsessed because you never let the cruelty of the world strip you of your softness. You have been through things and you're still a beautiful soul. You're still chill. You still approach life with grace and humour and with softness. And softness is not weakness. It takes way more strength to remain gentle in a world that hasn't always been gentle to you than it does to become cold and detached. Being unkind can be instantly gratifying for the ego, but it is never ever good for the soul. And you know that, Powerful. And people really respect that about you. You choose gentleness consistently, and that is sacred, and people can feel it. There could be something really specific about how you nurture, like how you speak with compassion, maybe how you care for animals or children. It could be how you parent, or how you look after people who are more vulnerable. Maybe you speak to those people with like an extra little bit of softness. Like, if you deal with vulnerable people at your work, somebody is obsessed with how like some of the time you can be really blunt and ridiculous, but then you have this certain voice where you go like into this nurturing mode, or you just have this way of dealing with people where you really connect to them, and it makes it clear what a light being you are. I'm specifically getting something about animals and babies being utterly obsessed with you. Maybe babies and young children stare at you all the time. I'm also seeing a kind of Snow White cottagecore dream, like attracting all the animals, a Dr. Dolittle sort of vibe, animals surrounding you, like you're this Disney princess in the forest. You could have a real whimsical vibe about you, Powerful, that people are obsessed with. But yeah, this gentleness adds to your light. People feel safe near you. They feel like being around you reminds them that the world isn't all sharp edges. They don't always have to brace themselves. And I'm also seeing people being obsessed with how unashamed you are, how authentic you are. You don't put on a mask to be palatable. There is a bluntness and a rawness to you. There's a sincerity. And in this world where people don't always say what they mean, you feel real and you feel relatable. You're not someone who would sell your soul for easy validation. And that is hot to people. That's rare. People are obsessed with it. And with that Knight of Swords clarified by the Sun, this is you being direct and honest and fast moving when you have clarity, but your truth is never cruel, it's just illuminating. You're the type of person to say what needs to be said, but you don't do it in a way that destroys people, even though you probably have that capability, but you bring light through truth, and that makes people trust you instinctively. And then the Six of Swords with the Eight of Cups. People are obsessed with how you leave because you do not linger in what isn't aligned. You don't stay stuck. You won't stay in places, whether it's friendships or dynamics or workplaces or online spaces, where you are being dragged down. It's like you will always choose peace and what's worth your energy. You won't give some dramatic speech. You won't create chaos. You just move on. Sometimes you don't even announce it. You just leave quietly, and everyone's like, where's Powerful gone? I want to argue with them. I want to rile them up. And you're just like, no. You're like, not today, Satan. If something is petty, if someone is trying to compete, if someone is trying to bait you, you do not rise. You simply walk away. You don't even take them on. It's like water off a duck's back. And people are obsessed with that unbothered energy. And it's not because you don't care about anything. You do care very, very deeply, but you care about what matters. And if something doesn't matter, you are not wasting your energy on it. You've got bigger fish to fry. You're not concerned with boosting the ego and getting the last word and proving someone wrong. That doesn't appeal to you. And I'm getting this example so strongly. I'm thinking of toxic workplace vibes, like people thinking because of your gentle nature that they can treat you however they want, and they think you'll deal with it because you need the job, you need the money. And then one day it's like you get pushed too far and you're like, you know what? I quit, and you can kiss these nuts on the way out. You know, it's that kind of thing. And everyone is shocked. They're like, wait, like they actually quit? We thought they'd just put up with the bullshit. And you're like, no, you know, I can't heal in the place that wounded me. Bye. And people will talk shit, sure. They'll ask like, what is Powerful going to do now? But there are other people watching like, no, I'm obsessed with the way they just did that. It's like you might give people a piece of your mind and be honest on the way out. And people are like, you know what? Our toxic boss, our manager needed to hear that. That was iconic. I wish I could have recorded that moment and played it back. So it's like you have these kind of main character moments where you do what other people wish they could do by choosing yourself and by choosing your healing. You choose forward movement, and even if it's sometimes shocking, it's very respected. People are obsessed with the way you do this. And I'm also thinking of that clip from America's Next Top Model. I did recently watch the Netflix documentary, so that's probably why this is in my head, but I'm thinking of the classic clip where the girl in the green top says something like, oh, I don't think this is great for me, I don't want to do it, and the judges start talking and she just turns around and walks out. Like, that's your energy. Like, I've made my decision, I'm not even listening to you. You just leave, and people are obsessed because they wish they had that backbone. And it's also why people sometimes can't figure you out, because they think they can bait you into a response and you're just like, nah, bye. And it drives them crazy. Like, the people who want attention, who want drama, they want you to spiral, they hate that you refuse. Your absence teaches lessons that your presence didn't even have to. Now, with the Page of Pentacles clarified by the Ten of Pentacles, that's that legacy piece to the puzzle, and this is people obsessing over your abundance, whether that's material, financial, generational, or just the way you seem to have a rich life. And when I say rich, I don't necessarily just mean it in the stereotypical sense. I mean, like, you really seem to enjoy your life and it's something worthwhile. And some people get obsessed with the end result, that Ten of Pentacles, without, maybe understanding the process. Some people get obsessed with the highlight reel and the outcome, but not, the work that was done. Because true wealth isn't just material, it's, having the inspiration, the creativity, the ideas, and that deep soul fulfillment. And when someone is only chasing external metrics, money, views, followers, status, that's all about ego and comparison, and it can feel kind of empty. Like, if someone is obsessing over your social media platform, for example, and they're going like, why do they get so many views and I don't? But their focus is only what will get me the most views, the meaning of why they're doing that thing in the first place falls flat. Whereas your focus is very source-led. You think to yourself, my message will find the right people, and that's why it lands. And what I love about you, Pal 4, is that you represent the duality of being both the learner and the teacher, because the Page of Pentacles is that beginner mind energy. It's someone with curiosity, but also like humility and openness. And even though the Ten of Pentacles is mastery and legacy and that sense of like, I built something real, you can't get to the Ten of Pentacles without that beginner mind and that Page of Pentacles. And some people are obsessed with your process because you never get stale. You are both the student and the teacher. You don't get set in your ways. You are always willing to keep learning and growing and improving and building. And that is why your light keeps expanding. And that's why the abundance grows. People get obsessed with that abundance, but the abundance is only there because of the process. And the process is why the inspiration stays fresh. So yeah, Pal 4, whether the obsession shows up as jealousy from people who don't want to do their own inner work, or adoration from people who genuinely love you so very much, the core of it is the same. Your energy is powerful. It's very undeniable. You are like gentle and funny at the same time. You're caring, but you're also unbothered. You don't force anything to happen. You do this very naturally, and you're magnetic naturally, and people just can't stop watching you and trying to figure out your process. But your light is yours and yours alone. It can never ever be stolen, and you will never let the world take it from you. So that's what I'm getting for you, Pal 4, and that's where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. I just want to thank you so much for being here and for spending your time with me and for supporting the channel. If this reading resonated, please remember to like, comment, hype, share and subscribe. That genuinely is the best way to support a small channel like mine. If anything in this reading landed for you, even the tiniest detail, I would love to hear about it, or just let me know which pal you picked or leave an emoji. All of that helps me more than you know, and on a personal note, I just truly love hearing from you guys. I read the comments and I appreciate every single one, and I appreciate you guys so much. Lots of love, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one, Pal 4. Hi Pal 5 Collective. If you chose the Britt's Third Eye Tarot and you chose the car sticker and you chose Pal 5, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled, Why People Get So Obsessed with Your Energy. What makes your vibe intoxicating and addictive? If you would like the full details of what this reading will entail, I would recommend checking out the introduction. I go through absolutely everything there. I will also leave some details in the pinned comment below for your reference. I would recommend checking at least one of those out so you know what to expect from this reading today. But just a brief little recap, this reading is all about why people get so drawn to you. What is it about your energy that people find intoxicating and addictive, and why your vibe tends to leave such a lasting impression? So if you've ever felt like people latch onto your energy quickly and you've never really understood what it is about you that makes people do that. This reading is here to explore that gently with you. With that said, let's get into your reading today. I'm just going to move your little card sticker to one side for now so we can focus on the cards in front of us. We are using a mix of tarot and oracle cards today, as always. So starting over here on the left from the Archetypes Oracle, we have Trickster, Light Attribute, Transcending Convention, Stuffiness, and Predictable Behaviour. Okay, my little chaos agents who chose pile 5. Shadow Attribute, Manipulating Others Through Duplicity. And from the Wild Muse Oracle, we have got Tell It Like It Is. I don't know why, but the lady on this card reminds me of Kerry Hilson. And I'm hearing the song Pretty Girl Rock, so I don't know whether Kerry Hilson is irrelevant to you guys, or that song. I'm also thinking of the Kerry Hilson version of Turn My Swag On, the Soulja Boy cover. Don't know whether that's relevant for anyone. From the Deep Dive Oracle, we have got Bright Tides within every moment of chaos. Did I not say chaos? There's a chance to transform and renew. Harmony in duality. Duality, that comes up a lot on this channel. From the Pearls of Wisdom Oracle, we have got Empowerment. As a divine being imbued with the spark of the universe, you hold sacred authority to shape your life and manifest your deepest desires into reality. Some of you could have strong Jupiter or Sagittarius placements. I'm just getting that because this kind of reminds me of like the Archer archetype. Might not be for everybody. And from the Audacity deck, we have got the Gardener. Beautiful. So let's have a look at your tarot cards. We have got the Ten of Cups. Okay, amazing start. And clarifying the Ten of Cups, we've got the Ace of Swords. We have got the Moon, interesting, and clarifying the Moon. We've got the Four of Wands, and we have got the Two of Pentacles, and clarifying the Two of Pentacles, we have the Fool. I love that. Okay, pile 5. Right off the bat, there's a common thread that always presents itself in my readings, and if you've been here for a while, you'll know what I'm about to say. I mean, because I just said it, but duality is everywhere in this pile. It's coming through in multiple places, and I feel like people get obsessed with you specifically because you have this dual nature where you can do both. And I don't know in what way that might apply yet. It can apply in tons of ways, but I keep hearing that you can do both. You can be two things at once. You can be multiple things at once, and you don't even flinch about it. You're just like, yeah, I can do it, and while moving between these different energies. And we absolutely see that, especially with the Two of Pentacles, but also that Trickster energy. That's so interesting, pile 5, because, you know, Trickster often gives me magician vibes as well. And this is giving shapeshifter energy. It's giving this vibe of like, oh, you thought I was one thing? Well, actually, I'm this. Or watch me transform. Watch me become anew. There's something about that with you that people get totally transfixed by because they can't pin you down into one simple explanation. And that makes them want to keep watching to figure you out. Also, astrologically, strong mercurial energy is coming through here with that Trickster. Again, that doesn't have to apply, but Gemini and Virgo placements. But also, you know, I mentioned the Archer, Sagittarius with that empowerment card. I also actually, though, wouldn't be surprised if there's some Libra or Scorpio here. I'm just getting that intuitively, not because of anything that's coming through on the cards. And that doesn't have to apply, but it is showing up. It's popping into my head, so I'm saying it. Now, this Trickster card is actually making me laugh because I'm getting that people get obsessed with you because you guys sprinkle a little bit of chaos everywhere you go, like fairy dust. That's what it's like. Like, you're not even trying to, though. You're not malicious. You're not like, oh, let me cause problems on purpose. It's more like you walk into a room and suddenly it feels like there's an interesting plot line. Like, things get a bit spicy. People start acting different. The energy around you shifts because you walk into the room. And when I see Trickster showing up next to you, Tell It Like It Is, oh my god, people are obsessed with the way you do this. You have this energy where you say what everyone is thinking, but nobody else has the guts to say. You address the elephant in the room. You will stand up, pile 5, and you will say the thing that everyone's been privately thinking but quietly avoiding. And people are like, oh my god, thank you. As though you've done a public service by bringing this up. It feels like people are obsessed with this to the point where they're like, give pile 5 a microphone right now, like genuinely. Too many people these days have podcasts, but pile 5 actually deserves one. They have something to say. That is the energy. Yeah, the image on the card, the woman on the stage, Kerry Hilson on the stage with the microphone surrounding her, that's your vibe. And people are like, no, like this deserves a stage, this deserves a platform, pile 5 deserves an audience. This deserves a standing ovation because the way you just said what we were all thinking, but you said it in a funny way, That is iconic. And yeah, you do it in a hilarious way, Pal 5. I feel like people get obsessed with your sense of humour. That's what makes it even more addictive, because you guys can deliver truths in a way that makes people laugh. It's like you could be a stand-up comic because you're saying these real things, sometimes kind of sharp things, but it lands like comedy because you've got the timing and the delivery and this very specific way of being like deeply analytical at the same time, and also absolutely hilarious. I feel like people are obsessed with the fact that they could listen to you talk all day. Like, you could get up on stage and share your opinion or go on a tangent and nobody would ever get bored because it's always engaging and there's always humour in it. There's always this sense of precision with what you say as well. Like, you assess what's going on with accuracy, but it's never dry. It's very entertaining and expressive. And I'm also getting, for some of you, sometimes you don't even have to say anything because it's written all over your face. Like, you can transform your face and give a completely different vibe depending on what you're trying to convey, depending on the mood you're trying to get across. And I don't know why, but, well, I do know why, because I said it in Power 4. I just watched the America's Next Top Model documentary on Netflix, and I'm thinking right now of Miss J. Miss J doesn't even have to speak. Like, the eyes say it all, the expressions say it all. There are memes of Miss J for a reason. And I'm not saying you look like Miss J, but that kind of reminds me of you. Like, even if you don't say something, the expression says it. You know, you could be in your friend group and someone says like, oh yeah, I just got back with my ex, guys. And you just morph your face into this look that says everything. And they're like, stop looking at me like that. Why are you judging me? And you're like, what? I didn't say anything. And that's the point, like, you didn't need to. A specific confirmation could be like, I'm getting somebody who can have a lot of control over the muscles in their face. So for example, being able to like wiggle your eyebrows but just lift one of them or something like that. That's for somebody. It obviously won't be for everybody. Now I'm getting a message about Botox, I think because we were talking about the muscles in the face, but I'm getting somebody getting like medical Botox. That's coming through. Again, this might be a very specific confirmation just for one person. I'm getting like TMJ. Is that somebody could have got like Botox in their jaw? I don't know. I just kind of get random words and letters. And if that expressive face thing applies in any way, I'm also getting that people could be genuinely obsessed with the way your eyes light up when you're really, really happy. And you know how some people smile, but it doesn't always meet the eyes? With you, when you are happy, it's bursting out of you. Like, your whole energy transforms. It's like your light spills into the room and people can become addicted to it because it's so genuine, Pal 5. It becomes this contagious thing. People actually really struggle to be in a bad mood around you. I'm not even being dramatic here. I feel like it's very easy for you guys to shift the atmosphere of any room you walk into. It's like you can trick the air into being something different. And yeah, that makes sense with the trickster, but I feel like this is mostly used for good. Like, you can uplift the mood by cracking a joke, by shifting the tension, by cutting through some of the heaviness. And it's almost like you're tricking people into being in a good mood. Someone could be sulky and moody one minute, and then you say one thing and they're in hysterics and you're like, there it is, I tricked you. I knew I could get you to crack a smile. And that is addictive energy, because who doesn't want to feel better when they feel low? Trickster also makes me think of kind of playing devil's advocate, or like winding people up a little bit on purpose. But I feel like you guys only do it when it's deserved. Like when people underestimate your intelligence, as one example, or when people willfully misunderstand you, or they don't pick up on your sarcasm, or they don't understand that you're being satirical with your humour. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys know how to play dumb sometimes, or you have this kind of innocent, coy energy where you can trip people up on their own words and humble them in the process. But it's not by being aggressive, but just by asking like innocent questions that land them in trouble. Like if someone told an offensive joke and you wanted them to reflect on it, I can imagine you guys going, I don't get it, like, can you explain that? And you do get it, but it's not funny, it's just rude. So you want them to explain why they think it's funny and show themselves up. It's that sort of thing. And then they fall apart trying to break it down. And suddenly they're like, you tricked me, you're twisting my words. And you're like, no, babes, I just asked you to stand on what you willingly said. People feel like you tricked them when really they just underestimated you. And I do want to say here, particularly if you guys are femme presenting, because society is still very misogynistic when it comes to letting women and femmes be multifaceted. It's like people get obsessed with you because you cannot be confined into a neat little box. It's this vibe of people want women to be either pretty or smart, but not both. Or like the Madonna whore complex. People want to shove you into these binaries because it makes their brains feel safe. And you don't have to be a woman for this to apply, but it's just the examples I gave kind of relate more to like my experience as a woman, so that's what I'm sharing. But something about you, Pal 5, is like, no, I cannot be contained. I cannot be boxed. I am a little bit of everything, and I'm content with that. And people who only think in black and white, they get insecure about that. They feel tricked when they make assumptions and you prove them wrong. So you could get this energy of people being obsessed with like working you out, trying to figure out where you fit, trying to place you into a category of their liking. Well, every time they think they've got you figured out, you do something that contradicts their idea, and then they're right back to square one. And sometimes that can feel threatening for them. And the examples I'm getting could be literally to do with anything. Like, as just one example, if you're stereotypically feminine in terms of your clothes, your makeup, your lashes, some people might assume that means you're shallow or not intelligent. And you can let them think that, you can play dumb, but then you can turn around and pull out your intelligence card like, oh yeah, but actually I'm a doctor, or actually I have a PhD or a degree in this and that and the other. And they're like, oh. And then they're obsessed, but it makes them uncomfortable because you're not what they thought. Like you're both things, you're two things, or you're multiple things at once. Or if you are cute and playful and innocent and young looking, if you have a gamine kind of vibe about you, people interpret that as like naive or easily led, or they think you're younger than you are with less experience. And actually maybe you're someone people don't want to mess with. So they're like, oh, like I thought you were so innocent, meaning they thought that you'd be told what to do. And you're like, absolutely not. It could even be that you look like this sweet little angel, but you have a super dark or dirty sense of humour that is shocking to people and they don't expect it from you. And they're like, wait, you? Like, coming out with stuff like that? And yeah, it doesn't have to be these exact examples, but the point is you surprise people. They think they know everything about you by looking at you, but they're wrong. And even if they get one aspect right, there are so many layers that they didn't account for. And I feel like a lot of people are obsessed with you because of that uniqueness, because of that balance. And because you're not existing to play to a stereotype. You guys are adaptable. Some days you're one way, other days you're another way, and you're not afraid to change. You've definitely got wanderer energy about you. Like, you want to go where the universe takes you. You're not afraid to pivot and to transform. And people find that very empowering because sometimes people wish they were brave enough to do that. And I do want to be clear here, I'm not saying you guys are like flaky or fickle or that your values have no foundation. If you've got strong values, those are strong values, and some of those things might never change, but you are also aware that you're on a journey of constant evolution and that every day is a chance to expand, and you don't beat yourself up for changing. And I feel like, honestly, people are obsessed with that because you guys can take accountability. You can admit when you were wrong. You're the type of person to say like, oh yeah, I used to think that, but I was so delusional when I thought that and I've grown since then. But you don't deny it happened, you don't act morally superior, and you never pretend that you came out of the womb perfect, like this baby on the Fool card. They have so much to learn and you are on this journey of always learning. And you don't shame past versions of you for not knowing better, you just evolve and you accept your ever-changing nature. And there's something about that that makes you really, really relatable. People are hooked on your words. Yes, you've definitely got like that gift of the gab and a way with words. People could be obsessed with how quick-witted and articulate you are, but they're also hooked on like that level of honesty and self-awareness because you're not someone who's shying away from the truth and you're not in denial about your evolution, and people love you for that. People love you because to them, it feels like you can do it all. Like you're the logic with the compassion, the assertiveness with the empathy, the hotness with the intellect. It's this vibe of like, ooh, a little bit of everything in one package, and people get fixated on that. I'm also getting something about a blend of masculine and feminine, and this isn't about being male or female. Some of you, of course, might resonate with more than one energy than the other. Some of you might feel like a mix. Some of you could identify as non-binary in terms of gender, or you might blend looks. Some days you're more masc presenting and some days more femme. Yeah, some days a mix, and people are obsessed because you make it all work. That doesn't apply to everyone, it's just an extra message for somebody. But it's like no matter how you show up, it still always looks like you, even though it feels like a profound transformation. And I'm just going to say it as someone who's personally attracted to all genders. You might be the type of person who gives people bisexual panic. Like you look hot whether you're more femme or masc or neither. And if you're bi or anything like that, pansexual, whatever, you know exactly what I mean. That vibe of like seeing a hot couple and being like, I genuinely cannot tell who I'm more attracted to. That's the energy you bring. People are attracted to you regardless because everything you do is uniquely you. But of course, you know, some people get obsessed in a weird way because they have this urgent need to put you in a box, and your duality makes their little brain glitch sometimes. Like, something about your energy doesn't compute. They struggle to comprehend how you can exist in both worlds at once, and it makes them uncomfortable. So they might fixate on little things. Like, these could be, for example, just silly superficial things like, oh, you wore lashes yesterday and now you're not, what happened? Or, oh, you usually wear makeup and now you're dressed like a boy, what's going on? Or, you know, you used to have gorgeous long hair and now you've shaved your head. I liked it better before. Like, why are you giving your unsolicited opinion? Why does this person think that they have a vote? But it's the obsession. They're like uncomfortable with your flexibility. And it doesn't just have to be about appearance. People can obsess over natural fluctuations in your behavior too, as another example. Like, some days maybe you're more extroverted and other days you're more introverted. And somebody's like, why are you so quiet today? Are you okay? Why aren't you joining in? Why aren't you like you were yesterday? And you're like, because I'm a human being. My social battery shifts. I am allowed to ebb and flow. Or it could be people being like uncomfortable, for example, with you changing a belief or growing as a person or choosing a different life path. Like old friends trying to cling to an old version of you because it makes them feel safer. So it's just one random example. Let's say you guys decide to stop drinking. You decide you want to be sober, and you're not judging anyone else. Maybe you've just realized it's not good for you personally. People who want to keep you stuck in the past might obsess over that change and be like, oh, so you're boring now? Like, you're not going to come and party with us? This is a phase, like, you'll be back. Or they project like you're trying to be holier than thou when you're literally just trying to live your life the way that you want to. People getting obsessed with changes that have nothing to do with them because it would make them feel more comfortable if you stayed the same. Some people get obsessed when you change because they don't understand movement, they don't understand shifting. They want the version of you they first met to be the version you stay as forever because it makes them feel more secure. So if you evolve or you pivot or your priorities change naturally, it's as though sometimes they obsess over it and they take it personally. And then they'll hit you with that line of like, oh, but you used to do this, or you used to say this, as though they think that they've caught you out in a lie, when really it's not a lie, it's just life, it's just you growing and being a multifaceted human being. And I'm getting an example that can be a little bit controversial, but it is the one that's popping into my head. I think it's a good one to explain this energy. Like, say at one point in your life, you were adamant you didn't want marriage, or you didn't want kids, or you didn't want to settle down, you just wanted to like travel the world solo and do your own thing. And then later on, life unfolds and you meet someone who makes you want those things. Like, you do want to get married, you do want a baby, or you want something completely different than the version of you from years ago. And some people will look at you like, but you told me you'd never do that. You told me you never wanted that. Like, it's a betrayal, like you tricked them. And it's like, I didn't trick you. That was genuinely true at that point in my life. I wasn't lying, but now I want something different, and that's okay. And I do want to be very clear here because I know it's a controversial example, and I think that's because it can be a sensitive topic. It is never okay to tell child-free people, you'll change your mind, because some people will never change their mind, and that's okay. If someone says they don't want kids, believe them, respect them, don't undermine them. That's not your place. That said, it is also true that some people do change their minds. And that's okay too, because what you want at 15 can look very different to what you want at 30. And what you want at 30 is going to look very different to what you want at 50 or 60. Simply because you experience more of life, you gain more knowledge, you do more healing, you have shifts in perspective, and that's normal, that's evolution, that's growth. And for other people, you know, maybe certain things they want when they're 15 stay exactly the same when they're 30 or 50 or 60, and that's okay. Both realities are valid. And even within that, multiple things can be true at once. Maybe you traveled first and then had a baby. Maybe you have a baby and you still plan to travel later when your child is older. Maybe you don't want kids and you never will. The point is, people get obsessed when they can't let go of the version of you that they've decided you are permanently. And they struggle with the fact that you contain more than one truth at a time. And this can apply to any change, you know, going back to school, changing careers, settling down, starting a family, starting a creative project, absolutely anything, changing your appearance even. It's like you make people glitch because they just can't comprehend movement and shifting. They want you to be one consistent thing forever because yeah, it just makes their brains feel better to be able to like categorize you. But yeah, multiple things can be true at once. Different sides of the same coin, but it's all still you, pal 5. But people who are kind of stuck in those hierarchies and binaries hate that sometimes, because if they can't figure out where to place you, they can't figure out where to place themselves, because they rely on external metrics to define who they are. So your duality triggers insecurity in them, but of course that is not your problem. I'm also getting this vibe of people obsessing over the different masks that you might wear. I'm thinking of theatre right now. I'm thinking of how you're just very different things to different people. Like someone could see you at work in a professional setting and think that you're one way, and then they see you outside of that setting and they're obsessed and shocked by how different you seem. So for example, you could be very shy and stern and about the business at work in your corporate outfits with a very modest, subdued sort of vibe. And then somebody sees you out with your friends looking like a baddie, life of the party, and they're like, oh my god, I didn't even recognize you, you look so different. You could get told that a lot, that you transform depending on the environment. Not literally like you're going into different bodies, but you can transform yourself into an entirely different person. Maybe you're really good at like elaborate makeup looks or costume makeup or something like that. And people get obsessed with the way you surprise them. Like, if you're quiet in some settings and then you come out of your shell and you're cracking jokes and speaking your mind, they're like, I didn't know you were like this, pal 5. Like, I thought you were quiet. Or they're obsessed with the out-of-pocket one-liners that you announce. They're obsessed with your opinions. I'm hearing they're obsessed with the fact you're not afraid to go there. I think we got that in one of the other piles today. And that's where the elephant in the room message keeps coming back. Like, in a friend group where everyone is stepping on eggshells, you will be the one to say it. You can do it with compassion, but you will still say it. And people are obsessed because they're like, thank God, you said it perfectly. We couldn't have said it better. Thank God that you did. And you're never using the truth to be cruel. You are using the truth to set people free, because you know that that clarity leads to ultimate happiness. It leads to fulfillment and them fulfilling that potential. And people genuinely thank you for that. I'm getting this random example of like celebrities who have a bunch of yes men around them. Like if there's a singer with loads of yes men around them, they could write an album and the album could be bad. But everyone around them says like, yeah, oh my God, it's amazing, because they're scared to get fired. And you could be the one, like the right-hand man to that singer, who says, okay, like what the fuck is this track? Like why does it sound like two cats fighting? And I don't even mean you have to say it that brutally. Some of you might, but it's like you're the only honest one in that room. And then that celebrity, that singer is like, thank you, pal 5. I purposely made that track sound like two cats screaming as a test, because I wanted to see who was honest and who really had my back, like a loyalty test. And these people nearly let me release that shit. That's the vibe. You say what needs to be said because you care, because you want things to improve. You're not here to flatter people, you are here to elevate. And I'm also seeing people being obsessed with you because you make awkward scenarios funnier. People obsess over the way you lift the mood of the room. And I actually think one of the reasons you feel genuinely close to people is because you're honest. Because I think one of the biggest killers of relationships is resentment due to not communicating. You know, that thing where someone is hurt but they won't say it and they expect you to mind read and everything just becomes tense and fake and very disingenuous. You don't do that kind of fakery. Again, you're genuine, you're sincere, and obviously you're going to be more open and blunt with like a best friend versus a stranger. I'm not saying that you're inappropriate with it, but people know that with you, you won't pretend not to see. You won't act like everything is fine when it's not. And that gives you such like a girl's girl or a guy's guy kind of vibe. Like you will be the one to tell your friend if their lipstick is smudged. You'll tell them if their skirt is tucked into their underwear. You will fix it because you have their back. And that's what real friendship looks like. People get obsessed with that because they know they can rely on you. And I'm getting this really silly example right now about the elephant in the room thing. Imagine you and your friends are meeting your friend's new partner and everyone turns up and your friend's new partner is a frog, like an actual frog, and nobody knows what to say. And everyone's just trying to do like polite small talk and they're saying to the frog partner, oh, so what do you do? But the frog can't answer because it's a frog. It just ribbits. And then everyone goes to the bar and they're trying to like skirt around the issue and they're like, oh, they seem nice. And you're just like, okay, if nobody is going to say it, I am going to say it. Why is our friend dating a frog? Like, not literally that, obviously. Not that dramatic, but you know what I mean. You will be the one to break the tension. And everyone kind of breathes this sigh of relief they're like, oh, thank God, you noticed the frog too, so I'm not going insane. They are actually a frog. That's you. You say the thing, and people become obsessed because they feel a lot freer around you. With that moon card clarified by the Four of Wands, it does feel like you're confident and you're content in who you are, and you are happy existing in this multifacetedness. It's very empowering to you. You don't want to be held back by anyone's labels or anyone's definition of you, but you're also okay letting people believe what they want. You will let them underestimate you, and then you'll prove them wrong at every turn. But you don't feel the need to convince anyone because you know who you are, and you know that you're always evolving, and that one phase of your life doesn't define you. And apart from that small group of people who obsess because you're layers that make them feel insecure, there's a ton of people obsessed because they always want to peel back the layers, because there's always more to you. It's like you have this power where you make people feel comfortable immediately in your energy. You could make best friends at first sight, and people feel like they know you so quickly because you connect deeply even on that first interaction. But then there's more. It's like a hall of mirrors with you, Pal 5. They see one angle and they think they've figured you out, and then they turn around and there's a new reflection, there's a new layer, a new timeline, something they didn't know. And it kind of blows their mind. Like someone could feel as though they've been your best friend for years, and then one day you bump into someone on the street from a past version of you, and you and this person start speaking to each other in a completely different language. And your friend, who feels like they've known you forever, is like, wait, what do you mean you speak this language? Where do you even know this person from? And how do you speak this language? And you're like, oh yeah, I lived in that country for years and I learned the language. And they're like, oh my God, I literally had no idea. Like, there is always more to you. And for insecure people, they can feel tricked by that. Like, if they find something out about your past, they feel slighted. Like, why didn't you tell me? And you're just like, because it was 10 years ago. Like, I've been so many different versions of myself since then, to the point where some of this stuff is like not forgettable, but it's just not essential to be brought up. It's not that you were hiding it, it's that you've lived so many different lives and you've tried so many things. You've always been on the move, you've always wandered and explored and evolved. And yeah, like, people are obsessed with that. They're obsessed with your spontaneity, your adventurousness. People are obsessed with you because they feel as though life is never boring around you. I wouldn't be surprised if you're the kind of person who always dares to do something other people won't, or you're the person who suggests this wild idea. You're like, oh, should we all go and get matching tattoos on a whim to mark this occasion? Or do you dare me to do this? I'll do it. Or you'll do or say something just for the plot. It's never boring. It's fun, it's memorable, it's sometimes a bit unhinged. I'm getting people who are obsessed with how chaotic and unhinged you can be, but in the best way possible. They're obsessed with how you go with the flow and you will adapt to any situation. It's like you can vibe match anybody while still staying authentic, and that's very, very rare. People sometimes either people please or they can be quite rigid, but somehow it's like you do both. You adapt, but you don't betray yourself in the process. And with the Two of Pentacles, it's like you guys are always juggling multiple things. You're doing a lot at once. You're good at managing everything. You're good at keeping the balancing act going. People don't always know how you manage it. Like, someone meets up with you after months, for example, and you're like, oh, I'm writing a book now. And they're like, wait, I thought you were doing stand-up comedy. These are just examples, by the way. And you're like, oh yeah, I do stand up twice a week, but I'm also writing this book and I'm also doing this. And they're like, what? Like, people are obsessed because every time they see you, you've got something new, something exciting, this new direction, a new project, a new path. And it's not just that you try things, it's how you merge things as well. You can take two ideas and turn them into like a brand new idea that can blossom. And that's that trickster energy. It's that mercurial energy. It's like your brain is always on, always moving, always connecting dots. People could be obsessed with how your brain works generally, like your train of thought. It's always moving from one thing to the next. People could say, like, where did you even come up with this idea? Because maybe things just pop into your head and it feels very random. You can be on like one train of thought or one conversation, and then it feels like you bring something up that's completely different and people are like, where did that come from? But to you, there's always like a pattern to it. I don't know how to explain it, but people are like, wait, we were just talking about trains. How did we get onto burgers? Because it feels like you come out with these things really randomly and people are like, I would love to know how your brain works, like how we get from A to B, Pal 5. But in your head, you're like, well, yeah, I was thinking about trains. And then I was thinking about the last time I got on a train and I went to this city and I had lunch at Burger King and I was thinking about a burger that I had there. I don't know. Obviously not that example, but it feels random sometimes. Yeah, people are definitely obsessed with your sense of humour. that fool energy, how you're not afraid to do something silly if it'll make people laugh. You bring this very light-hearted, open and playful energy that make people feel like life can be fun again. And that energy is so addictive and it's so contagious and it's so inspiring and empowering. It's like people get obsessed with you because you're this whole package. You bring them clarity and truth, but also laughter and intrigue and freedom. It's everything at once. You wake people up in this really spontaneous, lively, fun-loving way. So that's what I'm getting for you, Pal 5, and that's where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. Thank you so much for being here, for spending your time with me, and for supporting the channel. If this reading resonated with you, even if it was just in a tiny way, please remember to like, comment, hype, sub, and share if you feel called to. That genuinely is the best way to support a tiny channel like mine. If anything landed for you, I would love to hear from you guys, even if it's just to tell me which pal you picked, or just to leave an emoji. That helps me more than you could ever know, and on a personal note, I truly just love hearing from you guys. I read all the comments and I appreciate every single one, and I appreciate you so very much. Lots of love, take care, and I'll see you in the next one, Pal 5.